5, this round 21 review. There is so much action that has happened this weekend, Jesse.
There has.
So much action. And I want to start with yesterday. Richmond lost the number 1 pick. Or did Essendon gain it?
I think both of those statements are true at the same time. It's funny how that works. It's an interesting flow-on effect. We just recorded a video about the draft implications. We have filmed a video about trade rumours.
Yes.
And we did a Melbourne off-season sim as well. So that's part of the year is hotting up as much as the final stuff is hotting up. And it's great. It actually makes these shows easier.
It really does. When you get some overarching tasty little narrative that you can bite into.
You get through the middle parts of June and July and you're analysing the teeth out of games and you're just like... It's nothing.
Yeah, it's when you're far away from the beginning of the season that the element of surprise has gone with the teams that have like jumped up like a Melbourne, but you're still so far away from the end of the season that you can't make any definitive calls.
And when you do, you're wrong. So I've probably written off Geelong, Brisbane at various points this year and then changed my mind pretty quickly. I reckon Collingwood's in that basket. But now in the last month, you can more confidently make claims because we can just point to the ladder and say, well, dropping 4 points here is catastrophic. Right?
Yeah, it's not good.
And we had a couple of big results this weekend. Brisbane and Adelaide, probably the biggest story there.
Well, I was actually going to ask you off that. Do you think the pick 1 situation is the biggest story of the round, or is it Carlton fucking up the Brisbane Lions?
I think that's the biggest story of the round.
It probably is, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's also intrinsically linked to the top 4 race as much as it is the wildcard race.
The top 10 race.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the biggest game for sure.
Yeah.
We got some people in the chat. I have to laugh. We do have a super chat. I'll get there shortly. But the first comment is, oh yeah, saying, can we revisit Dylan saying he rated Threadgold over Dean?
I was going to let that one go. So I had a rankings. I didn't actually rate Threadgold over Dean. Mm-hmm. I imagine what I said in our numerous draft conversations. I probably said something like, I reckon, I don't know what I said. What did I say?
I don't really know either. I reckon you might have said you preferred Threadgold for North over Dean.
I reckon what I said is something like, there are parts of Threadgold's game that I actually would prefer over Dean.
One of them that, I'm posting on Instagram that we're live, forgive me guys. That's just about up. But one of the things was probably like the closing speed of a Threadgold.
Yes.
And the athleticism. Was that a question mark on Dean?
Well, slightly, yeah. He's not an overly athletic key position defender. He's a little undersized as well.
That's true.
Where Threadgold's got that extra size. He's there were games that Threadgold played where he genuinely looked like a runner as well, like a sort of Weddle type marauder up the field.
Yeah.
So I think there were like some aspects, but clearly Dean was the much more ready-made prospect.
Yeah.
And he's doing much better now. I think, categorically, Carlton got that right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And West Coast were right to bid that early.
Yes.
One of the small wins we've had.
One of the few. Nathan Mott has just given us a super chat. Thank you very much, mate. Is Hipwood the worst 200 gamer ever? Name another.
Surely not.
I mean, he's probably not. 200 games is a lot of games, though.
It is a lot of games. I'm trying to go through my own club. I've been wondering how many people are over 200 games.
I must admit, and I'm not, I don't want to sound too harsh here, but I have there's been numerous times across the journey for Hipwood where I've watched him and gone, this guy's a bit shit.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a strange player, to be honest. Is he playing back now?
Yeah, he has been.
Yeah.
Yeah. I assume that's because Gallup's out.
Yeah. Right now, it's probably a bit harsh off the injury because he didn't have a partial ACL tear.
Oh, did he?
That's why that ruled him out late last year. I might be mixing years there, but I'm sure he had a partial ACL tear.
Yeah, probably.
Over the course of the year, of the career, yeah, he's not particularly good. There was a lot of hype early, a lot of hype that he could be this mercurial, unconventional key forward, but not an early draft pick either.
No.
I reckon he was a late academy match.
I guess the question is, it's one of those really, without notice, that's a really difficult one to, I can't even think of any names of.
I reckon the answer is no. I'm sure you can find some worse ones that have, battled through the Melbourne era, the current West Coast era. Probably, I don't know, like someone like a Liam Duggan probably still is better over the course of the career. But I reckon there's worse.
Yeah, I think Duggan's a better player.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Will with the pair says, Dean is basically Wiedering. I would push back on that a little bit. He's quite a bit smaller than Wiedering. Wiedering's like that 200 centimetre colossus.
Sorry, Dean versus Wiedering, is that what it was? Yeah, right.
Like I said, he's basically the same player. I think they're different. I think they're different. But at the end of the day, when it comes to keys like that, as long as you're big enough and you're competitive enough, that's kind of the starting point.
Yeah.
Doesn't really have to do anything.
It's not holding him back, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, pushing forward and kicking goals is a massive bonus on the top of all of this.
Yeah, that's true. Shout out to official UFL who's predicted we'd be 7 minutes and 23 seconds late, and apparently that was right on the money. That's very specific.
Somebody's won a bet, have they, on how late we're going to be?
Yes.
We're always a bit late. I've just seen another comment come through. Blair Dowker says, you said the gap between Dean and Thread Gold isn't that big. Okay. I might have said something like that.
I kind of saw it with you on that. Obviously not now.
As a talent. But like Thread Gold hasn't played.
Yeah, of course. But who would have seen Harry Dean's first season coming? You'd automatically discriminate against a key position defender doing what he has done in his first year. Yeah, it's unprecedented.
I think there's a bit of a thing here though, and like we've been talking about this a bit lately with draftees coming in. There are always draftees that are going to hit the ground running quicker at AFL level. Like Harry Dean was always going to hit the ground running quicker than Thread Gold.
Yeah, than Thread Gold. Yes.
Yeah. Very much. Thread Gold's a very raw prospect in comparison.
Sure. So, yeah.
Like, is Dean doing better than I expected? Yes, but that doesn't. I don't really know what Thread Gold doesn't have to come into this. I know it's because of what I've said. Yeah. Apparently, but it's also very early.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Logan Costa says I take Hipwood over Jack Nunes. Itzy says doesn't normally catch the streams, but is here today. Thank you so much. Best duo since Kobe and Shaq. That's nice.
That is nice.
We do get that comparison a lot.
I just read a comment from Boy, and then it disappeared.
Sasquatch Frio says loves the Frio Retro 95 jersey. Is that back for... it is... Yeah. First of all, is it back for Melbourne or is it back for the Adelaide game?
I don't know. I just saw it come up on Instagram and it looks fucking sick. The green bottom.
Yeah. I feel like that's a little clashy against Melbourne. I reckon it might be Adelaide, but let us know in the chat.
Yeah, because it's got red in the... Oh, no, wait.
No, it doesn't. But Adelaide were red
double
against
purple?
Purple and green. They used to have green in their jumper as well.
No, but as in like breastplates, double purple.
No.
White anchor.
One green, I reckon.
Isn't the bottom bit green?
Oh, maybe.
I thought the bottom...
I don't have...
The main colour is green.
I have really bad retention.
Okay. With the ball as well?
Yeah. My ball retention rating is... And my close clearance equity is poor. You are right. It is double-breasted purple.
Double-breasted purple. And then they've got the purple with red.
Love life.
With red and green. What? You're such a dickhead.
I like the retro AFL logo. That's cool.
I love that. I think Collingwood had that earlier.
Yep, we have done it previously. Sydney's done it previously. It is a nice touch.
It's a nice touch. The 90s, the nostalgia. It's
before my time for following footy, but
it's for the millennials. What did I say just before? And I know we're talking about PowerPoint, and I said, remember when PowerPoint first came out? And then you were like, no. Oh, shit.
Kate says comparing Duggan and Hipwood is ludicrous. I mean, that's fair. What I was doing was working mentally through my mind who at West Coast would be that. That's where my mind went, to be honest.
I feel like some people put these things in the chat like, who's worse than Hipwood as a 200-game player? And it's just there to fuck with us. Because what we have to do in our brain then is like go through a catalogue of players.
Yeah, but my mind just goes to the worst ones I can think of off the bat.
Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
91 in the chat. We'll let people filter in here. Bomber James just says, Harry Van Hattem. And I think that's attached to them getting the number 1 pick.
True.
I don't think they're going to take Harry, though. Spoiler.
Oh, sorry, James.
He's number 1 in my rankings, but I reckon the Bombers are going to go for a bit more of an immediate fix with their picks.
Yeah. That would be...
This is the question. Is it Archie or is it Gus? What are you doing, Jesse?
I like Archie.
What is it about Archie that you like?
I think he is a bit more of a genuine forward as well. From my impression, obviously. Like, I'm not going to debate you. If you disagree, please tell me. But a more genuine forward as well. And and probably just had a bit more of a body of work, whereas Gus is the bolter.
More of a bolter, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I like that. I like the pest potential as well. And maybe there's a little bit of, there's a lot of talk about Nick Watson at the moment. They're not exactly the same player by any stretch. He's a fair bit taller arky than Nick. But because I think that's sort of the narrative at the moment, that temptation to go that kind of dynamic forward, I think is tempting.
You like that it comes with a bit of jerk off too?
Yes.
I meant that in more of a...
What?
What have I said there? More shithousery.
Yeah, okay. That's an unfortunate choice of words. We started about 1 o'clock today, so there's been 5 hours of content.
I really didn't mean anything by that.
No.
Footy Lux has asked that question too. Who will the Bombers take? I think it's Archie or Gus.
Yeah, but there's still so much time. The combine's got to happen. The interviews are got to happen. And there's the rest of the season too.
Well, in fairness, though, Archie won't play.
That's true. Is he out for the year?
Essentially. I think there's a world that he's back for Talent League finals, but with Sandringham probably not being... looking likely that Sandringham aren't right up there this year.
Yeah.
If they're eliminated early, then he won't be available. I think it's something like grand final potentially.
Yeah.
And then you'd wonder if they'd even bother.
Yeah, fair enough. But there's still time for Gus to elevate
or decline.
Yeah, it could happen.
It can go one of two ways. He did have, in fairness, a massive game at the weekend. I went down and watched him for St. Kevin's. 7 goals.
Yeah.
7 goals out of the goal square.
Sevens.
St. Sevens, yes. I got that now. Yeah. He was dancing. He was absolutely dancing.
Wow.
Will with the pairs is Harry Van Haddam or Duff Tytler, who was the higher rated prospect. I think Harry. Harry.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even going to try and debate you on that. I was just going to say, what about like July of their respective years? Because Cooper was a pick 1 contender at that point. Or August.
Yeah, so was Harry. So
yeah,
yeah. I mean, they're different. They're very different. I think Harry's got more scope to be a genuine number 1 ruck.
Yep.
Where Duff Tytler's more of an athletic utility.
Yeah, agreed.
That's how I'd put it. I think that probably gives Harry a bit of a bump as well. But they're both talents in different ways as well. Should we crack in? You've got a couple of shout outs, a little bit of housekeeping to do.
First thing, I just want to shout out everyone who's become a member, either free or with a paid membership on truefooty.com.au. We have 1,500 members now. It's really awesome. A lot of action in the player rating space as well, in that space, Dylan. And we have 3 players, the biggest people moving up this week. Oscar McDonald. He had a pretty big game.
He did. He had like 25 as a key back.
Yeah, you know what it is as well. It's new people coming in and using the play radar, and because it's so early, we're getting weird results.
Yeah.
So Brody Kemp also moved up, but both of those 2 are performance based because Brody Kemp kicked 6, and Chris Sherry for Fremantle also moved up. So good to see some movement there. You can vote every game for the Brownlow medal. Every Monday I'll update that because I have to download the stats. But you can now vote on round 21. I can see people have done that already. So it's great to have you on board. And I want to shout out to new members on the YouTube membership, J95 and Bill Hurley-Fraser. That's who I wanted to shout out, Dylan.
Beautiful work, Jesse. Holly Gramatha? I feel like I may have butchered that, but I'll go with it. Holly Gramatha. Hey, Jesse, I said in the chat last week that Hawthorn were top 4 for players used. I fucked up my stats. But now second with Essendon and Carlton behind West Coast and Richmond. Lots of ins to come next.
Is that right? Do I dare double check you again?
You've lost trust.
No, I will see out of curiosity. The second for players used is interesting, right? Because you'll find that the teams who have used the least players tend to be at the top.
Yeah.
Fremantle and Geelong, I reckon, might be. Let's double check that before I keep guessing.
So Hawthorn were top 4 for players used.
By the way, I also just saw a comment there while I get back to that. Bryce says, are you guys regretting putting Carlton so low on your ladder predictions? You had them 8th. I reckon I had them 10th.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where they sit right now.
Yeah.
And that's about as high as they'll go, maybe, without double checking.
If you're going to keep receipts, make sure the receipts are...
keep a tax copy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Jesus.
I reckon that, I mean, to be fair, I've probably done a multitude of different predictions throughout the year, but the one we did at the start of the year, I reckon I had them 10th.
Yeah, we did like an official one that's like that.
The official one.
You can go and check it. Go and check it out.
Yeah.
I had them because I in a throwaway line a week before we did our ladder prediction, I said Blues can make the top 6.
Yeah, you did, and then
I put them 7th, I think.
Yeah, something like
8th,
that. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
On the players used, you're kind of right. Hawthorn are technically second because there's a 3-way tie at the top. So they're 4th. Yeah, but still, like 39, and the leading teams have 40. That's still a lot.
So technically, when she said they were top 4, they are.
Did she say top 4? Sorry, I thought it was second.
No, she did say second, but I said in the chat last week that Hawthorn were top 4.
Okay.
I fucked up my stats. Now second with Essendon and Carlton behind West Coast. So she kind of...
Oh, okay. Sorry. It was confusing. So many numbers. But yeah. That's still impressive, bottom line.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the... that is, yeah. I mean, Jacob Richardson says players used is not a great measure of health because it means that clubs who stick with players under fire are kind of punished.
Yes. Yeah, it's not a perfect stat.
Yeah. But it's a stat.
It is a stat.
It's just numbers.
Does it kind of speak to depth if you are using a lot of players and you're still ranked high?
I can be. I mean, all of those types of stats have it's like when we talk about age as well.
Yeah, there's always a caveat.
There's always a caveat, and there's things that can kind of like bump it up or lower it down. So like they're a guide. They're a guide, I suppose. 127 in the chat.
Someone's saying we predicted Carlton above Adelaide.
There's
conflicting things here. I'm going to find out exactly what we did, Dylan.
Yeah, we didn't do that.
I'll find yours. You had Carlton 8th, Adelaide 7th.
Yep.
And what did I have? Oh god, for some reason, here we go.
I reckon my ladder prediction's like about perfect.
Oh, okay.
Just saying.
I had Adelaide 8th and Carlton 10th.
Adelaide 8th.
This
Carlton
is the one
10th.
we did 5 months ago, start of the year.
Yes. Yeah. Like we did like an official one.
Yeah. We hid inside the other
I've
8
actually,
unofficial ones.
Since then, I've changed it and I've got it exactly what the ladder is now as my predictor.
Yeah. Brass said Jesse had Carlton finishing 14th. We did one in December.
Oh, last year.
Yeah, last year. And then
you
did
can
a
change
newer
it
one.
since then.
Yeah. I can understand why that's confusing for the audience, though. If we do end of season 1 and a start of season 1, I can understand why they're not keeping track.
You guys have to do work too. It's not just about us.
We did a new ones in March, and we both had Carlton in the 10.
We definitely did. Yeah, we definitely did. Which wasn't looking good
The one
early.
2 months ago. Oh, okay. If we did a mid-season 1 and I didn't have Carlton, they were probably like 1 and 8 at the time. So yeah, okay. If the idea is I didn't see this coming from Carlton, yeah, I'll put my hand up there.
I won't.
Let's go back and find out actually what we did. I won't.
I will not fold under any circumstances, Jesse. Yeah. I did nothing wrong here.
So many.
2 months ago. Okay, we're probably getting stuck on this a little bit too much.
Yeah, you keep talking and I'll find the deets.
Dove says, just want to say I love the streams. You both have an interesting insights and always seem very impartial in your analysis, which is refreshing as a Pies fan.
Oh, that's nice. Thank
I actually
you.
didn't mean to read out such a nice comment.
Oh, yeah, it's embarrassing. No, thank you so much. We get a mixed bag of feedback, so that's really nice.
Yeah, we do. It's mostly bad.
I did have Carlton 14th. You're right. Again, when you start a season 1 and 8, I don't know exactly what round I started doing this.
Can I just say, I don't even remember doing that. I don't remember I only remember the ladder predictor we did at the start of the season. I don't remember doing one mid-season again. Is that bad?
What did you say? You told me today about a video that I just did not remember. Oh, it was a Rising Star one yesterday. That's right.
Yeah. And I said we had an argument about Trembuth and Shanahan, and you were like, "No, we didn't." Yeah, we did.
I never verified that part.
Okay, Geelong defeated Collingwood, Jesse.
Oh, yes.
We've got to get into the games. We've got to do this. 15-7, 97 to 10-12, 72. It was a very, very weird scoreworm game, this one. 9 minutes into the second quarter, and at the time, I went and watched this back, but 9 minutes into the second quarter, the score was 57-8 in favour of Geelong. From that moment, Collingwood really, really pegged them back, and they got them to within sort of that 10 to 20 point range, but they just couldn't sort of breach any better than that. And Geelong would just kind of pull away slowly. And if you actually look at this game in its totality, I think Geelong sort of dominated most of the major statistics. 67 to 45 inside 50s, 51 to 34 clearances, 54% in the forward half as well. the thing that was keeping Collingwood in the game was just being able to score when they got the ball inside forward 50, 49% of the time they got it in.
McStay was a big part of that as well. He kicked 5 goals out of a total of 10, which you could read both ways. It's good that they've got that marking target firing. On the other hand, shows an over-reliance or a lack of support around that, right? But they kind of responded every time Collingwood came at them as well. I mean, they did catch up a fair bit, to be fair, but they just managed to steady the ship.
Yep.
This game, we remarked, or at least I remarked, that this was an intersection of two teams that might have just started to find their groove. Collingwood knocking off Adelaide the week before, flipping their contested profile. Geelong, who did they beat? That was impressive 1 week ago. Oh, Melbourne.
Yes.
And seem to have gotten better without their two players. Are they coming good at the right time and they played each other? Geelong get the chocolates.
It's kind of the two senior citizens of the AFL, these two teams.
Yeah, they might even be the two oldest teams. I'm not sure if that's literally... Collingwood are. I'm not sure if Geelong's second, but they'll be close.
Yeah, I think they're both up there.
Yeah. Mullen's job on Dacos, pretty underrated. Dacos had a good day, but I feel like his possessions were sort of, particularly in the first half, pushed wide, not into dangerous areas.
I know. I've seen a little bit of discourse around this online with people kind of saying, well, how is Mullen getting any credit for this when Dacos's output at the end of the game is 35 and a goal?
Yeah.
There's
only so much you can do to mitigate.
There is only so much you can do, and there is a part of me that if you took his numbers at the end of half time, he'd basically I think he'd only had 2 inside 50s or something.
Yeah, the game was more or less over. I know they came back.
That's what I mean. Yeah. That's what I mean. So it was I mentioned the score worm earlier, but I feel like Geelong kind of just had them there, and they were pinning them back. The damage is done.
Yep.
So whatever Dacos did in the second half was never going to be enough to bring them back into the game. So I think that has to be factored in.
Absolutely. What do you make of the whole slow start thing to this game with Collingwood deciding to run out the 2 minutes before the game? So I actually missed the run out. Did they run out to, what's the song by Off With Your Head? Dance, dance till you're dead. Please make me stop singing.
No, keep going.
What's that song?
Heads
Will Roll. Heads Will Roll. I don't know if it was Cheats from Type Media did an edit. I don't know if it was an edit. Let us know in the chat. Did they actually run out to different music other than their songs?
I think that was being a total idiot. No, I think that is the thing because didn't they wasn't that the whole thing? They ran out to pump up music.
Yeah, they did, right?
And then the songs kept to the end of the game.
Okay.
Or did they run out to the song? Because I didn't watch the pregame. Did they run out? It's good that we're talking about it then.
Yeah.
Did they run out to the song and then go and do a bit of a thing and then go back in? Is that what happened? So song, run out, little bit of a play with your friends, and then go back into the rooms.
I don't think so. No? They did the coin toss well in advance. Then they come out. Collingwood ran out 2 minutes before the game, and I think it was to pump up music. And I'm hoping someone.
I think it was to pump up music.
Someone can confirm that. Either way, the different preparation for Collingwood is it causation or is it correlation with their terrible start?
I don't know.
No, I need an answer.
I mean, who cares?
Yeah, fair enough.
What do you think then?
I think you have to look at it. Yeah, if you have a really slow start like that, you do need to consider your prep. And if you're on the ground 2 minutes before and you start slowly, then there's there's something you look at. I don't know. Maybe enough. You park at this point of year. I
sort of feel they would have done these things can go either way, right? Because everyone was talking about in the pre-season, they're when Melbourne started to come in their casual dress, that worked. So everyone was like, "This is cool.
Yeah,
this is going to work, right?" But then, I don't know. It's so hard to find the correlation between these events actually having any meaningful impact over time. I would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair bit different though, because this is potentially a sports science thing as well, right? In terms of the warm up, and I suppose they're probably warming up downstairs, but familiarizing yourself with the ground, is there any science to that? I don't know. But maybe. I reckon if it was if I was a Collingwood supporter, I'd probably want them to park it until next year. Don't mess around.
Don't change it mid-season, I suppose.
Yeah,
is what you're kind of going with there. I don't know. I feel like there would have been enough of. Surely there was enough of an awareness around the fact that they were changing it to then make concessions to be able to kind of I don't know, get yourself to where you were normally. Yeah. Is it that much of a difference? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not an elite athlete.
Aren't you? Could have fooled me.
Exactly. What do people think?
Those quads.
What do people think in the chat? Those quads.
Ollie Dempsey was pretty damn good. It's funny how sometimes a player will have an outstanding game and then you start hearing, all Australian lock. And it's like, you haven't been talking about him all year.
And then, because I reckon Dempsey earlier in the season had a bit of a quiet start.
Yeah, I don't mean to knock Dempsey. I'm just commenting on a general AFL thing. Like someone smashes it and all Australian lock.
Yeah.
If you look on the True Footy website, nobody has Dempsey. The average team doesn't have Dempsey in it.
Doesn't have Dempsey.
I haven't seen Dempsey in there. But that being said, that also comes down to wing versus picking another midfielder. And if you pick a pure wing, you definitely go Dempsey.
Yeah. Well, who's he going? Like, who's he knocking out?
You mean if they pick wingman or not?
Yeah.
If they pick wingman, nah, he'd be in there.
No, but if like who? Because you're probably talking like you're probably knocking out like Zach Butters or someone like that.
Yeah, Well, Butters has done that injury. Does that cost him?
Might cost him.
Depends how many games he's played. I reckon.
Poor season for Port.
They do have the cutoff at like
not him,
16 or something like that. I think he'll get in. I think he'll get in. Let's have a look what the True Footy audience says. Anyone can make a membership and do this for free. Bontempelli, Dacos, Smith, Lockie Neal, Butters.
Boy says he
Murphy
could knock
Reid.
out Holmes.
Holmes isn't even... Holmes. Sorry.
No,
you got me saying it. You can say what you want.
Holmes
Holmes is actually not in this on the consensus ladder. Obviously, this is like not a lot of people have done this. How many? We got 118 fans have voted on the All-Australian team, and Holmes isn't in it either. Dawson and Heaney, were the other two I missed.
Dawson, Heaney, I think they're both in for sure.
Yep.
Dacos for sure.
Bont, I reckon will get in as well.
Probably, yeah.
Smith.
I mean,
Smith's not indispensable.
Yeah, I don't think Smith is indispensable either.
They got Murphy in here as well, but I think more as a forward.
Murphy Reid.
Yeah.
I don't think Murphy Reid makes it.
You don't think so?
No.
It depends. Because I think Bolton beats him from his own team.
Bolton's definitely in.
Yeah, Cosy Pickett. If you're picking him on a forward flank, which they probably will. Nick Watson, Zach Bailey. Yeah, you clearly rank Murphy Reid behind those guys.
Yeah.
Depends also where you place Heaney.
You play Heaney forward.
Okay. Well, you've run out of spots pretty quickly there.
Yeah. Yeah, you play Heaney as a forward just because of his dual positionality. I think you play Pickett as a forward too, right?
You could do. But it's almost like you've got too many forward mids in this team now. You're going to have to park them in midfield positions.
Yeah. But like, who's going to miss out? Like, if you have Reid in, then which mid's going to miss out? Like, what, do you leave Dacos out?
Oh, yeah, no chance.
Yeah. It's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
Nick says, question for Jesse. Can you now justify bringing in Finn McRae?
Still no.
Still no.
Well, I mean, for the Eagles, at this point of the year, you got 3 games left, unwinnable. Season's done. You might as well give some opportunities to players that have played in the waffle all year, that have performed well in the waffle.
Yep.
And McRae technically fits the bill, but I would probably prefer Gross, Hewitt, just a little bit more upside Dewar before going to the McRae well. I think we know what we get from McRae.
Even the experience factor?
Yeah, it's not a massive amount of experience.
No, it's not.
No, so no, not for me, but I also won't, complain if he got picked.
Boy says Murphy Reid would be like a fringe player for the AA team, but I love him. I think that's
that's fair.
To be in the squad of the All-Australian team in your second season is incredible.
Yeah. Yep.
It doesn't have to be a knock on Murphy Reid if he doesn't make the team.
No. He's an outside chance.
How's Finn doing since we delisted him? So that's on the same point. The other things that I noted in this game, there was a lot of chatter around the free kick count 24-7. I think Chris Cott came out in the post-match and said, we're okay with the 24 part. The 7 part's what we're looking into.
Yeah, it's a fair, just on the logic of that, 7 is well below average compared to 24.
It's a low number, isn't it?
Yeah. I watched the game. I didn't watch it so intently that I can recall what happened on Thursday night in terms of umpiring. I remember that as a narrative. 7 does seem pretty low, though, considering that factors in, I think it may or may not factor in lasso, but it factors in things like holding the ball.
Yeah.
So
yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh, obviously. But I meant does lasso count? I got a feeling lasso might not.
Oh, doesn't it? I assumed it did.
Yeah. Well,
because out on the full counts.
Yeah, out on the full counts. Yep. Let us know in the chat if anyone knows the answer.
Yeah,
to that.
I didn't know that
because you'd think, it would strengthen my point there. But seven's low, so
it is low. I've got to admit though, watching the game as a neutral, I didn't
notice.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it could be
I
fine.
mean, neither did I. If I watched the game, as I said, I wasn't watching intently all 4 quarters. But
when I'm watching a game and I'm noticing the umpiring or my annoyance with the umpiring, it's usually around stand rule 50-metre penalties.
sure, yeah,
That's the part where I go, oh, for fuck's sake.
they're very disruptive.
They're very disruptive and they just ruin the flow of the game. That's like the main one. So I don't particularly remember any of those and they didn't sort of jump off the page. Jack Martin had a game in this one too. Kicked a goal, a couple of direct goal assists, did some really nice things. You mentioned Ollie Dempsey and Polkinghorn.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny how Polkinghorn and like guys like Wiltshire are just these guys with no profile that come into the system and contribute.
Yeah, look really athletic, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. They've obviously identified the traits and they've built a system where they can filter in new young talents. Dempsey, Humphrey, I'm not saying these guys aren't talented, but like there's a reason they can come in from being a late draft pick and carve out a niche in this team because they're just so well oiled.
And that surname,
yes.
What's going on there? Polkinghorn. Where does that come from? Polkinghorn.
The name?
Yeah.
It sounds pretty Anglo.
It does, but
Yeah.
why?
Because, well, you separate polking and horn and they
Yes.
both sound Anglo, so you mix them together.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I want more from you. though.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's derived of the... Derived?
A derivative of
Polking. What's polking?
I don't know. That's why I'm confused.
Okay, polking. Right. Maybe it's a rhinoceros of royalty who...
Polkinghorn.
Yeah, who...
Pole King.
Who held a pole?
The Pole King.
Yeah. Maybe it's Polish.
Maybe it's Polish.
Yeah.
Little Slavic flavour in there.
Let's stay on this longer.
Let's stay on this. This is great. We'll go to the next game. We will go to the next game. I'd like everybody to put their answers in for what that means and where it comes from.
Is it from Anglo-Saxon extraction?
It could be an
I'm
Anglo.
going to Google, actually.
Yeah, have a little bit of a look there
Yeah,
while I do this game.
get on it.
Fremantle defeated the Western Bulldogs, and I did watch this game in full, 78-41. This was a game of defensive chess. There were people pulling the Sicilian move to start the game. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Oh, that's Sicily.
Isn't there something called the Sicilian defense in chess?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm a very casual chess fan. By the way, Cornish extraction. So
Cornish.
English. Yeah.
You were right with the. You were right to.
Is
feel
Cornish
it.
different to Anglo-Saxon?
No, I think Cornish still is a. It was the
I thought it was kind of its own thing.
the Vikings on boats. They came into Anglia.
Polking corn. Anyway, thank you, Gilesy, who also Googled it.
Yes, Cornish name.
Holy Gramatha says, my grandparents' last name is Polkinghorn and we laugh about it all the time. I love how that's like a source of continual amusement for them.
Yeah, still now. Okay, so did you catch the Freo Western Bulldogs game?
I did, and I wish I hadn't, Dylan. It was like, don't take this the wrong way, Fremantle fans, because it sounds bad coming from me. That was like watching the Eagles and North play.
Yeah.
It was horrendous.
It wasn't good.
The Bulldogs matched them in terms of physicality for large periods of the game.
Yep.
Watching them have ball in an acre of space at times was hard to watch, man. Like it was that particular game, obviously, not comparing the teams, but was the skill level in that game much better than Richmond and West Coast? I think it was pretty par.
Yeah. The only, I suppose, the caveat there is that Luke Beveridge did really hit them with the Sicilian defence.
Yeah.
Like he was putting numbers behind the ball. Every time Freo went for that long bailout kick inside 50 where they just like threw it on the boot, there were just Western Bulldogs players everywhere. So they didn't really get any free shots at goal, particularly in the beginning of the game. Now, it started to open up a little bit, but they did push them into this game. I don't remember the exact marks numbers, but I think Freo took about 120 marks and their average is about 80 or 90 for the season. So they pushed them into this game where they had to chip the ball sideways. They would do slow build up, kick it long inside forward 50, and it was just a horrendous tussle consistently.
The Bulldogs made the decision to rest Norton and Waitman from the trip, which I kind of understand in a game that you're probably going to lose anyway. But on the night, it was very evident when they would kick forward aimlessly, there'd be Latham Vandermeer trying to take on 3 players, and it was just garbage. I think the idea of trying to beat Fremantle through a possession game style is actually kind of on the money. Like West Coast tried to do it in the week before, and in the first half it was kind of effective, taking the contest away from Fremantle.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Agree.
But in much like West Coast, and probably to a lesser extent than West Coast, but they don't have the cattle to win the game, especially if you manage.
You got to be able to score at the same time, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that was what their undoing was. And then in the same way, to a lesser extent, the damn wall broke in the second half.
I completely agree with you. So this possession game style, and this is where I think Brisbane become a danger for the Dockers, because they can do that better than anyone. They can play the keepings off when Zorko's there.
They can lose by 13 goals to Carlton.
Yeah, I think Hawthorn can do it as well.
I'm taking the piss. You are right in terms of style. Yes.
Yeah,
they match up well in theory. I mean, Fremantle battered them when they played, but in terms of just pure style, Brisbane suit that.
Yeah,
whereas Hawthorn suit that too.
Let's say an Adelaide Crows, for example.
Yes,
I don't think they can do that.
Yeah,
they've just got to go head to head in the contest and hope they're better, and I don't think they are.
Yeah, no, I agree. But Fremantle were pretty in control. I know that they were certainly challenged, but for all the reasons we just said, there wasn't a lot of jeopardy they were going to lose when you watched the Bulldogs sort of struggle to get the ball forward.
The thing that you've got to be looking at as a massive positive for Freo, though, they were, in fairness to the Western Bulldogs, with that style coming in, although they couldn't put enough scoreboard pressure on them, Freo were able to still, and they've been able to do this consistently across the whole season. They did it against the Swans as well. They're being challenged. And in the second half, it really broke open. Yeah,
that's been a real common thread for them this year. I mean, you could say the Derby was another extension of that the week before.
Like, if this game went for another 10 minutes, it would have been 90-40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just would have just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Absolutely. It's like the Mayweather thing that we said. Like a boxer on the ropes. So it was like Floyd May, let me stammer through this boxing analogy.
We're good at these.
But yeah, sort of like allowing your opponent to throw some swings early, keeping the fight sort of in parity, and then just finishing strong and overpowering them. And that's just what Fremantle do.
I've been kind of harping on about this casually for the season. I look at the body. This is a sort of a weird tangent on AFL ideal body shapes and stuff like that. I feel like the Freo players are built slightly differently to the rest of the competition. I reckon they look heavier than the rest of the competition. Okay. I reckon they have built those athletes in a very, very speed and power mold.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
I know, like, we've talked about it a little bit before, and you said, it's just genetics, but it's too consistent across the team for me.
Yeah, okay. Well, like someone like a Sarong, it's genetics. He's sort of like that. But that was a weird noise. I had a point and then it evaporated. What was I going to say? Yeah, I feel like Fremantle are still a relatively young list. So these guys are sort of building their bodies to be that contested team. Yeah. And again, I'm not a sports scientist, just completely anecdotal bullshit from me. But when you look at some of the older guys, like over the hill a little bit, I feel like later in their careers, they actually start to drop weight. They do. So they can keep their running capacity. Whereas Fremantle are just in that phase with so many of those guys at 25 now. So they're packing on size for the first time. So it's kind of like they're almost like a unique team in terms of their demographic too. Yeah,
I just think they've built a program around a game style that also goes to the gym. So it's not like they're just going like, I'm young, I've got to get my body heavier. Like if you look at Hawthorn, who play a different style that's a lot more kick mark, they don't look as strong and powerful as Freo.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Even in the air. I think like a lot of these guys, like the Pat Vosses and the Josh Tracy's, so powerful in the air. It's scary.
Yeah, yeah. I think some of that's genetics, true. But if you could also be the way you recruit. But like, Hawthorn's Josh Ward, probably not to the same extent in terms of their midfield, and Connor McDonald. I suppose he's got a running role, but still.
Yeah, even like look, you could get the 10 running players from both of those teams, like Mackenzie, Will Day, McDonald, Ginnivan. Like none of those are major speed and power athletes.
Yeah,
in comparison.
Newcomb's built like a country footballer.
Yeah, he is. He is. I mean, he probably actually reminds me a bit more of the Freo mold, but you got to have some of them, right?
Yeah, and he can't change his body shape. Yeah, Newcomb. That's genetics there.
I suppose the thing that you would expect to happen with that, if you had too many guys of that body shape, you would expect that you wouldn't be able to run out games. But they seem to get better into games.
Yeah,
they've sort of they've hacked it.
Absolutely. CJ says, tell me more about your ideal body shapes. I've been thinking about this for years and years.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Have you seen Tom Barras? That's a good shout. Barras is a man mountain.
He's a man.
He did develop somewhere else.
I mean it from a perspective of like consistency across team.
Yeah.
Like don't just pick out random one players from each team and say, yeah, but what about that guy who plays for Adelaide? Freo just look big and strong and built for the contest.
Yeah.
And speed off contest.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the comments that Freo has new strength and conditioning coach this year.
Do they? This year?
Yeah, it's in the comments.
Who is it?
They can't hear Vika, can they?
No, they can't.
Okay. In the comments, someone said that there is a new strength and conditioning coach at Fremantle. Don't know who it is, but West Coast poached theirs last year.
Right.
So that much is definitely true. I just don't know who the replacement was. Nick Lumley?
Nick Lumley.
I hope I heard that correctly.
Nick Lumley.
Thank you, producer.
Yeah.
CJ says, I went to the Pat Voss Academy for 2 months. It was so fun. We regularly got sweaty and ripped our shirts off. We just wrestled for hours. As I started hesitating because I was like, where is this sentence ending? Should I proofread it?
It kind of does look like that. It looks like they've just been, all of them. Everyone just has to line up and wrestle Pat Voss.
Yeah.
Just time and time again
Yeah.
until he gets tired.
It's gone to a weird place. What's next?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all from that game.
Yeah.
In the end, I guess the Dogs got what they deserved. There was a little bit of chatter around this game on Fireball after the game. Kane Corns criticised Luke Beveridge for those tactics, the rollback defence, getting numbers behind the ball. Said they basically gave themselves no chance to win. I kind of disagree with that. I think he had to do something. I think if he went toe-to-toe, they just lose.
But that's true. They also made the tactical decision before the game to rest Norton and Waitman and not travel them. Yep. So they kind of weren't equipped to win the game. So, yeah, what else are they going to do?
I think it just proves that you can't, in the modern game, with like the rules with the stand rule and stuff like that, you can't turn a game into shit like you used to be able to.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Although they did still turn it into shit.
Yeah, we do it every week.
Yeah, West Coast are great at that. But I suppose what I meant by that, you can turn a game into shit. You can't turn it into shit and win.
Yeah, not like you could before, where
Yeah.
you could tactically make it a dour contest.
Like the Terry Wallace
Yeah.
flooding the back line, those
Yeah.
kind of big moves.
And Paul Roos and
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. In this game, just one other thing I wanted to point out.
Yep.
There's like a moment, we're talking about like who could win the game. Rory Lobb had a missed kick inside 50. Like he took a mark inside forward 50 and then he kicked it back into the corridor and he missed the target. I can't remember who he kicked it to. And then Freo ran the ball out and kicked a goal. That was the beginning of the end.
Okay.
If you know what I'm talking about there.
Vaguely. It was Friday night. I've watched a lot of footy since then, so
Yeah.
I vaguely recall that. Was it late? Like third quarter? Maybe?
No. Well, third quarter, probably.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry,
I do remember the games sort of shifting. It was competitive in the first half.
Yeah, I reckon that would have given Western Bulldogs the lead.
Yeah, right.
And
okay.
it took it away from them.
Yeah. So you're
at that
saying
point.
double agent still
Double
being
agent.
paid by Fremantle?
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
That's exactly where I was going
It's a
with
good
that.
investment.
Yes. Next game was the Sydney Swans and St Kilda. Have you got a chat
Max
on it?
Hansen says West Coast are the minor premiers of shit turning. I like how we're not even the full premiers.
Just the minor premiers. You guys probably better than anyone know how to turn a game
Yeah.
into turgent, destructive football.
I don't think turgent is a word.
It sounds good.
Turgid is a word. But
Turgid.
Turgent.
It's a cross between turgid and detergent.
It's the opposite of detergent, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Turgid football. Vandermeer has a massive fumble after Lobb missed Richards.
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
think that's the one that sticks in my mind as well, actually. When I
Yep.
said Latham Vandermeer trying to take on three players, I think that he was in my crosshairs because of that.
Yeah, that was awful, that
Yeah.
passage of play. We will go to the next game. This Saturday morning, I believe it was, Sydney defeated St Kilda 107-88. I reckon this game will haunt the St Kilda Football Club because not just the loss, they had the game in their grasp. They coughed it up in the last quarter. And then what happened that night? Or was it the next? Yeah, that was the
Yeah, it
same
was
night.
the same night, yeah.
Yeah, the same night with Carlton and Brisbane.
Yeah.
They would have just been sitting back watching that going, for fuck's sake.
I know. Who would have tipped it? So I tipped the actual inverse of what happened. I tipped St Kilda, felt really good about it all through the game. I actually went out to go to the shops at 3/4 time and I chucked on 6PR, which is a weird channel, but West Australian, I think that's West Australian. Yeah, and I listened to most of the last quarter and I just heard Sydney goal after Sydney goal.
They kicked 45 points in the last quarter.
Yeah, they kicked 9 of the last 11. And I didn't see the Will Edwards injury. I heard about it, which is probably for the best, to be honest. But I went from looking like a genius to looking like a twat.
You need to be called out for this because I saw you post on Twitter that you did the like, while St Kilda were like 20 points in front, you were like, what did you say? Oh, going for St Kilda today.
So I don't look stupid.
It was such a flex on like, I tipped an upset.
I know. I made sure they were in front when I got the shot.
Yeah, I know.
I still say not a bad tip.
It was turgid.
Oh, yeah. That's so you.
Turgid. Not a bad tip.
How
much did they lose by?
23 goals. Yeah, 19.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but they should have won.
19, yeah.
Connor says, I rate the trim Dylan. And then CJ says, I want to tousle Dylan's hair.
Towels?
And Max says he'd want to comb it.
So
it's not just us who gets off track.
My hair has no product in it.
Really?
No.
Wow.
Sort of just grown. I'm just
a
going
bit of
with
natural
it.
pizzazz.
Just natural pizzazz. Just bed head type situation. But yeah, if you'd like to, you can play with it for sure.
I just remember in the draft stream last year, you said something about pizzazz, and for no reason, I reckon I had 3 beers. I went, it's pronounced pizzas. And Felix lost it. And I remember thinking, thank God someone laughed at that. Otherwise, I've had to explain it.
I bet I didn't even listen.
Yeah.
I probably didn't even hear it. That's good stuff.
I am just gifting 5 free YouTube memberships.
They deserve it, Jesse.
Yeah,
because we've
just
been
dealing
abysmal
with what we've just talked about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, Boo, Demon Badger, Caden, my boy, and Isaiah have just become free members for a month.
Beautiful. CJ says it's better Messi. Yes.
Ronaldo, man. Yeah, so this game was, so obviously the effect of the Carlton game made this a real double whammy for St Kilda. A little bit of injury carnage as well. I'm not sure what the prognosis is on these guys, but I think Silvani and TDK both got injured. I think there was a suggestion that they weren't too serious. I'm not too sure. Naz was also sore. I don't know if he's properly injured. Silvani's shoulder, and I have it written down, idiot. Koning battled a hip issue. That's what it was. But I don't know if we've got any more from that. Let us know in the chat if we've heard any more about those players, because those are significant with almost like a little wildcard preview this weekend.
It is a little wild card. I mean, there's massive ramifications from this game. I've just got the score sources here. It was quite interesting because we've talked about St Kilda, how they've improved their stoppage game a lot this year. They actually got smacked up from stoppage in this game. 2 goals, 6-18 to 7-4, 46. So they lost that one by 28. But they smashed the Swans on turnover, 70 to 48. So
yeah, wow.
They're a hard read this year, St Kilda.
Yeah.
I think in the end, and we'll get to this in the Carlton game, like who's going to get it, but it's going to be tough for them now.
Yeah, I mean they have to knock off Carlton.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Will they? On the 1 or 2 week form line, it's hard to get back against Carlton this week.
Yeah,
I mean, if they annihilate Brisbane,
who else has St Kilda got though? Making you do so much work today.
I need so many tabs open when we do this damn show. Let's have a look. So we know they play Carlton this week. In round 23, they play Richmond. That's a win, barring anything crazy. And then the Gold Coast Suns at Marvel. So there's a wins, I'd say.
What was the first one, sorry?
Richmond.
Oh, okay.
So Carlton into Richmond into Gold Coast.
Yeah, so they probably win out.
If they beat Carlton.
Do you see Gold Coast as a danger game for St Kilda at all?
Yeah, there? I think everyone should sort of consider them a bit of a banana skin potential.
Yeah, we saw the Melbourne game.
Yeah.
They've got potential to hurt.
Yeah, they do. You can't say that's an absolute write-off, but you still tip St Kilda, I think, right now.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll move on to the next game in a second. There's just a couple of chats to get through. Plasma Screen TV asks Jesse, do you think West Coast made a mistake not getting Sharp over CDT? Drever's the only pure mid this draft. They don't get Warner, could be in trouble, and Tasmania may take the mids next year. Let's just stick to the Drever CDT thing.
Sharp? Do you mean?
What did I say?
Drever.
Sharp.
Yeah.
God.
Sharp and CDT. Look, it'd be nice to see like Sharp working with Harley in the midfield if he got a consistent run at it. That's a bit of a dynamic duo that frees Harley up. The argument would be that you could get a lesser version of Dyson without too much of a gap that plays that role cheaper without doing it at pick 4.
Yep.
The upside of Cooper Duff-Tytler is pretty hard to speculate on. We're still so early, and no club in the league is really thinking about their draft picks and whether they got it wrong. I did sort of campaign for a midfielder last year, and we got CDT. One thing that sort of makes me feel better about that is Dersma is not a midfielder. Sorry, there's no doubt about him being a midfielder in my opinion now, whether it's as a wingman or a transition midfielder.
Yeah.
That makes me feel a little bit better about going tall with the second one. As for saying whether we got the pick right, it's far too early.
I completely agree.
But I feel no regret as such. Right, it's way too early. Ask me again in a couple of years.
Yeah. I think like it's one of those ones where you just like you back your decision either way.
Yeah.
I suppose the question maybe could be like, what could you have got in a deal, given that Sharp went at pick 13 in the end?
Yeah.
You could have maybe swung something, so you got pick.
Yeah,
like,
it's hard to know because we don't know what's real about what West Coast or other clubs have been offered for a top pick.
No, we never know.
Yeah,
100% for a fact, right?
Yeah, like there was a lot of criticism we didn't trade the Harley pick, and it's like I think the suggestion was we could have had pick 2, 3, and 17, and then later we found out 2 and 3 were never part of the same deal.
No, I don't think that could have possibly have been true.
No, and evidently it wasn't. So that's hard, but yeah, like a trade down and getting Sharp and Farrow or something like that.
Yeah,
like, we wouldn't be unhappy with that, but I'm comfortable with where it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation for sure. But yeah, I think Cooper Duff-Tytler still looks really, really good. People get a little bit caught in the recency bias of these things, for sure. Electro Boy says, what do you guys think about the Sack Knicks talk? We might get into that when we talk Crom
good yarn,
at the end. There was the Hawthorn versus North Melbourne game. Hawthorn beat the Kangaroos 99-83. North Melbourne equipped themselves fairly well in this game. When I saw the result, I was actually out at the time watching Gus Teixeira kick 7 goals in the ABS Football League. But I was sort of impressed that we got this close to Hawthorn, particularly in Tasmania, looking at the result there. But at the same time, it's sort of just like another one of these games for North where like they just inevitably lose.
This was nearly the upset of the year, in my opinion.
Of the year?
Of the year.
Of the year.
Of the year.
Go on.
What's a bigger upset than that?
Essendon beating Melbourne, Essendon beating Giants.
Okay, I'll give you the Melbourne one. That was actually pretty stunning. I'll give you the Essendon Melbourne one. Essendon GWS less so.
Yeah.
But yes, the gather round, the fact that it was 8 goals. I'll tell you why the North one is because you have trauma against Hawthorn. You have trauma against Hawthorn in Tassie.
13.
I wasn't even going back that far. Didn't they beat you by 100 points last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought this would get ugly. I was very impressed by North Melbourne in this game.
Okay.
If there's any, if you're looking for silver linings in this season, you've had these performances against teams that have torn you up in the past.
Yeah.
Against Geelong, okay, it ended up about 8 goals, but you were in that game, I think, at the start of the last quarter, if I'm not mistaken. And this game, would you have 12 lead changes in front at the 3/4 time? That's crazy.
It is. I think that where that is important in this particular game is that Hawthorn actually had a lot of jeopardy. Like they still have to win these games to make sure that they absolutely lock in that top 4 spot. So that's a big thing. I've said it a few times. There's 2 elements to this North Melbourne improvement I think that you have to acknowledge. It's like you said there, not getting bashed by teams that have bashed us in the past. They're smaller. Like this is objectively a small margin. We've kept them to a lesser score. And the other side of that is us just being able to beat those other weaker teams. So the Richmonds, generally speaking, the West Coast, Essendon type teams, we kind of haven't had any problems beating them this year.
Yeah, except for the 2 you lost.
Yeah. So who did we lose? So we lost to West Coast
and Port.
And Port. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So no trouble at all.
Sorry, go on.
I think that still stands.
I do agree with you. Yeah.
More consistency against teams in and around us.
Yes. Sorry, someone's shouting out, Holly is shouting out Carlton beating Brisbane is the big as an upset. I did kind of forget about that as I said it. It also had technically happened before. But I'll tell you why it's different. So for a few hours, it would have been second upset of the year.
Yeah. So it actually, I was right. It was the upset, but then it got beaten in the next game.
Yes. I'll tell you what, though. I reckon this would have been bigger. I suppose the Carlton-Brisbane margin is probably the bigger one. But Carlton are just not north. You know what I mean? Like, and where you've been. I'm sorry. But it would have been huge. It would have been far and away your best win in 7 years.
Yeah.
If you'd won this game.
Yeah.
So, and you didn't get that far off doing it. So my point still stands.
We did draw to Brisbane in Hobart last year.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Just letting you know. But
Yeah, that one feels like an outlier as fuck though.
feels fake.
Whereas this one feels like this feels like a bit of a body of work.
You're
now.
like, this one feels real because I was watching.
That was last year anyway. You also didn't win, so
Yeah, we kind of lost by 3 goals.
I did forget about that.
What about just as another game to throw in the mix here? What about Brisbane and Giants? Like Giants scoring like 80 points in a quarter against Brisbane.
So we're sort of mixing themes here because some of those are outrageous for the margin.
Yeah.
Versus the upset itself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
But you're right. There's been a lot of weird games this year.
Connor says, Dylan, who should Melbourne target with their top 10 pick from Gold Coast if the Demons don't trade it for Humphrey? Melbourne target with their top 10 pick from Gold Coast Suns. We actually have a video.
Yeah,
I'm just debating whether I actually talk about this now because we have a video coming out in the week. We actually did a breakdown of this.
I think we didn't. I think you can say if Melbourne hold 5, who would they take?
I think at this point they would take either Heath Melody or Ethan Drever.
I agree with that based on my lesser knowledge.
Yeah. I think it would be one of those if they held the pick. I think there's quite a few things that they could do with those picks though. They could, obviously they've got the Humphrey option which probably sits at the top. I think there's also probably, could they actually look to get up the board a little bit?
Maybe.
Could they look to get up the board
a
little
bit? The only team with 2 top first round picks.
They could
absolutely be the case.
Take that capital to the draft.
Yeah.
CJ says, Dill brother is a North Nuff and wants Simo in at the end of the year. Dill brother is a North Nuff and wants Simo at the end of the year. Do you think Clarko is the man going forward? And are you happy with the job he has done to date? Interesting conversation. Am I happy? I don't think Alistair Clarkson has done anything like over and above.
No.
It's just like just a very, like what North Melbourne have done, how quickly they've improved, all of that stuff. He hasn't really moved the needle at all.
Could you make an argument that he stemmed the bleeding though? Because the problem with North is that like there was a bit of a revolving door for a little while, wasn't there?
So
with retention.
Yeah. So off field, the club, objectively, the club is in the best situation or position it's been in quite a long time off the field from I think even just like a player happiness.
Yes.
It feels like they love each other.
Yeah.
The players, like the group of players that they've got in. He has to get some credit for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When you say stem the bleeding, my brain kind of went first to results. And I'm like, not really. Because we were still getting
I meant
absolutely
culturally and retention wise.
Yeah. So yes.
Yeah.
So how much you put that down to Clarkson and how much you put it down to other agents at the club, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough one where he can sort of get blamed for some things but can't take credit for others though.
Kind of. But also like as a coach, I suppose like your main job is to have performances on field.
Yeah, I think that starts with the locker room though, right? So I think it is mixed, but
To answer the question, I don't think he will be the guy.
I do agree with you there.
Yeah, I think they'll go for someone else
Yeah.
for the when they're launching to actually compete.
A young Sam Mitchell type.
Yeah.
Just find one of those. Yeah, I'm coming around to that idea. And I think I said to you this in a video that there's no reason why North can't try and emulate the GWS list management model of like both teams have had high picks. GWS have tried to get theirs they traded up, obviously, ironically taking your number 1 pick, but
Yeah.
they can't attract superstars or even A graders, but they do take fringe players and they have a system they forge or they get role players to sort of mold out their team. And when you sort of look at the GWS model, how much they bat above their average in that space, then you look a little bit more negatively on North Melbourne. But that's more from now point of view, right? So whether it's this year, Clarkson's safe, but is there a chance he steps down? Do you think?
I think so.
I mean, he's been coached for a long time.
Yeah.
Of a club.
Yeah, I think he could. There's a chance that could happen at the end of the season. I suppose, it's the question is when you pull the trigger. Like, do you give it another year in this sort of rebuild phase? Depends how quickly they want to try to break the glass, I guess.
Yeah, I'm starting to sort of, in the last 48 hours, starting to push towards a little bit more like, let's show some urgency here.
Yeah.
Let's get North Melbourne.
Let's get some wins,
Yeah.
Jesse. Let's get some wins.
Yeah.
Anything
on Hawthorn? Obviously, do you think there's any chance that, as much as I don't want to take away from North, I've just pumped them up, but do you think Hawthorn may have struggled to get themselves up for this game looking at the finals race? So there's lots to play for, but they're probably also thinking it's North Melbourne. We always kill these guys. They've got Brisbane. In other words, is there anything to be concerned about the fact that Hawthorn were relatively poor?
Looking ahead a little bit too much for what's coming up in the next few weeks. I think there's always a little bit of a part of that. I think in the end it was like, the player that separated this game, I bring this back to North Melbourne. I always seem to bring it back to North Melbourne in these situations, but Watson separated the game.
Yeah, he did.
At the end. And we talked about that last week I watched the St Kilda game and I went to that game live. Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller separated the game. Against Collingwood, Nick Dacos separated the game. We can't stop these guys and we don't have anyone of equal calibre, which is tough. About Hawthorn overall, I don't think this is a concern for them.
Nah.
They haven't played particularly well at Tassie this year, it feels.
No, they haven't from the last two. They did slaughter the Suns. I say slaughter, it was about 8 goals. Big win. And they didn't look troubled there. It's just Melbourne was on its own level.
Yeah.
In this game, they just didn't slaughter North in the way that they previously had. But again, North are clearly improved as well.
Yeah.
It's a big part of that.
Lee Montagna on first crack went with Nick Watson will haunt North Melbourne for a long time with them not selecting him in the 2023 draft. Agree?
Oh, yeah, it's hard to deny that one. Yeah, and there's also Newcombe at pick 2 after Jacob Edwards in the mid-season draft's a little bit different.
It's a bit different.
Yeah.
I'm not actually that one. And like as good as Newcombe is, like I get it.
Yeah, and like North's profile for the last 5 years or whatever, you had like Will Phillips and Tom Powell. Sure, he'd be better, but it wasn't exactly a glaring need for you, that kind of midfielder.
And I also think what you tend to do with list management in those situations is you kind of go, in the mid-season drafts, we'll try to get some tools and see what we can get out of those over a few drafts. We'll bring in like multiple tall because was it Edwards?
Jacob Edwards, I reckon.
Yeah.
There was talk that he would have been like top 10 had he gone in the national that year.
Yeah.
Did he ever play a game?
I actually don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you tend to bring in those tools and sort of hope you get lucky on like a Trem Bath type in a mid-season draft in that manner.
Gross.
And you're sort of drafting midfielders with the top end of the national draft. Whereas Hawthorn kind of did it, I suppose, like in a
different way. Yeah.
They won the war.
Yeah.
They won the war.
I might leave you with the chat.
You going for a bathroom break?
I am, yeah.
It's not like you.
We should get this bathroom break sponsored.
We really should. Kleenex or...
Gross.
What were you going to say?
Not that.
Gillespie says, if Butler and Teixeira were both gone at pick 3, who do you think the Eagles should take? Who do I think the Eagles should take if Butler and Teixeira were gone at pick 3? I think they should take Harry Van Hattem. Yeah. Yeah, I still think Harry. I still think you take Harry. It's not exactly like necessarily like the need, but I still think you take him. I think he's clearly the highest rated player. I would still, if I had pick 1, I would still want to take Harry Van Hattem. I can see why some clubs, particularly Essendon, wouldn't. When I actually think about it, I think it's pretty unlikely that there's a world where the Eagles, how do I say this? I don't think there's a world where the Eagles have that choice to make, really, because I think it's either going to go Essendon take Butler, Richmond take Van Hattem, or if there is this Butters trade where pick 2 from Richmond goes to Port Adelaide, Essendon will bid on Dougie Cochran, Port Adelaide's pick 2 will evaporate, and then West Coast will have the next pick anyway. So they'll either be picking between Teixeira Butler or Van Hattem. It'll be like they'll have the choice of both. It won't be that Butler and Teixeira will be off the board and it's then Van Hattem versus Melody or Van Hattem versus Drever, for example. Does that make any sense? I hope it does. What else have we got here? Redback Spider says, boy, would Harley Reid have stayed at North this long? I mean, I guess so. I guess he would have. I think North Melbourne, probably as it stands, are actually in a better position than West Coast, right? So I think he would have. Whether he would stay for the long term, I'm not 100% sure. Nick M says, Dylan, question for you. Would you think, given Shake's situation, is Mini the right man? I think McQualter, like the chat around him is, it's not a disgrace because I was about to say it's a disgrace. It's a bit too far. Like I mean, I get it because you're in a shit situation. You're a very successful club traditionally, and you're doing really poorly. I don't know if there's that much more that McQualter could have done at this point. I reckon he's actually gone. I reckon he has outperformed expectation this year from a wins and losses perspective. There is going to come a time, and it's the same for Uze right now. There will come a time where you have to make that jump and you have to improve and you have to be more expansive. I don't know if he can do that. The jury's still out.
Yeah, I missed all of the first part. Are we talking about whether
is McQualter
the
the man?
He's still the man right now. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're right. Coaches get appraised in phases, right? And we're still in the first phase, and I think he's ticking the box.
He keeps you relatively competitive.
Yeah.
There's some outliers to that. Obviously, the Sydney game, the St Kilda game were really poor.
Mm-hmm.
But a young team, like he is going to be judged on how well those young players develop.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, he's going to be judged like to some degree, like how he can outperform win-loss. And then he's going to have to make you, once those players get into the prime, then he's going to have to make you play.
Yeah.
And that'll be the big test.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then it'll be almost like a clean slate. You judge him differently on that.
Yeah.
I think some of that movement needs to happen next year. I think a preseason working on the skills is a must. And I think we've ignored that in favour of contest and game plan.
You play turgid football.
We do, yeah. Or just turd football, frankly.
Turgent
But
football.
the skills, it's as bad as I've ever seen at the Eagles. And I've seen many phases of West Coast, good and bad. It's the worst it's ever been. So, yeah, you're right. I agree with everything you said there. Yeah.
Well, that'll be a first.
That's not true. I think we agree on that.
I'm only joking.
We got 205 in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you check out truefooty.com.au. You can make a free membership. You can take part in all the polls and rankers. Yeah, this is something different.
More? You're talking about polls again?
Actually, we don't have any polls. We should have
Poll
polls.
King Horn.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, we should get some polls.
there's nothing there.
There's nothing.
There's heaps of features on there. We're adding to it every day. But thank you for being here as well.
A beautiful work, Jesse. We have next GWS defeating Port Adelaide 75-63. I've just written in my notes, did anyone actually watch this game?
I did.
You watched this
I was
game?
working on the website in front of it. I see what you mean. Yeah. Weirdly.
It was on at the same time as the Carlton-Brisbane game.
So funnily enough, I was asked which game I was watching tonight, and I said, I'm weirdly more attracted to the Port GWS one. For context, I had just done the GWS post that morning or the night before, and I was on a GWS, in a GWS space. And I was like,
says a lot about your
I'm
personality.
actually keen to... Does it?
I don't know.
Weird. So I was more keen to watch that. And then the games overlapped, and when I switched to the Carlton game, eventually I didn't switch back. So I missed the first quarter.
So once you got a taste of the real stuff.
Yeah, and then I sort of switched back at the break. Yeah, so I didn't catch either game in its entirety. But
What do you got for me then?
Stephen Cornelio kicked 3 goals. He's going better than I thought. Kicked 6 in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Didn't realise that.
I thought he was dead.
This game, honestly, I must admit, I wasn't tracking how he was going specifically. There's been a lot of talk about GWS shedding some of those older players. I did a post on Instagram about how I think they're actually outstandingly placed as a list.
Yep.
As far as this game goes, bit of a nothing burger. They got the 4 points and bizarrely are still in the wildcard race.
Well,
now.
that's the only talking point that I really have about this game and the GWS Giants. Obviously, there's the Port Adelaide stuff. We can probably, maybe we do this, like maybe forget this game a little bit and talk about the kind of the bigger picture things.
I think we got to give a little bit of a love.
Okay.
Maybe not specifics of the game. Like, okay, Harvey Thomas was good. Lucky Ash.
How much was the pre-ball equity and the...
it was about 7. Let's just talk about the Giants. Like, there's not much to say about Port at the moment. They're sort of holding out for the end of the season.
Sure.
They've done pretty well to this point, and we're seeing an insight into life without Zach Butters, and their off-season is really where they make their money back this year.
Yep.
Well, they're going to lose Zach Butters, but still. The Giants, though, obviously Carlton's win was enormous. and it's hard to back against them. But are the Giants still a sniff, you reckon? They're a game behind, aren't they?
They are.
Or no, let's not guess, Dylan.
They are a game behind.
They are. And Carlton's percentage is poor, although it did get a bit of a boost.
The Giants are still ahead of the Blues on percentage. So a win to them and a loss to Carlton will put them back. Now, this is the thing. The GWS Giants have the Suns at home, into the Eagles at home, into the Crows away. Yeah. So the Crows game is clearly tough. Devil's advocate here against Carlton, they do have St Kilda, which is kind of an 8-point game between those two teams who are fighting it out for that 10th spot. Plus they have the Western Bulldogs who are ranked above them. Now, as it stands, I would almost suspect that Carlton beat both of those teams, but it's not a sure thing.
No, that's true. Yeah, I was going to talk the Giants up as a sneaky chance to make it, but it's hard to make that case when Carlton eviscerated Brisbane in the other match.
Could you see a world though where the Giants win out and win all three of their remaining fixtures?
Well, you just can't rule it out.
You can't rule it out because they're a tough team to beat, right?
Watch them lose to West Coast and just like undo everything we said about West Coast for a start.
They've done
and the
it once,
Giants,
haven't they?
Yeah, they won't lose to West Coast in Sydney. They won't, but they're not so. Like, with the side that they are, you can't say that they're going to even win 2 of them.
No, I know.
But they could also win 3.
They could lose to the Gold Coast Suns this week.
They could.
And then it's all over.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you on that. How disappointed will they be, the Giants, to not make the wild card? Or do you think this is genuinely like just a run and reboot season?
I think if they shuffle into 10th spot and play in a wild card, I don't know how much it does for the satisfaction of the season. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit much of a muchness. This has been a real transition year for them. Yep. I don't know how much by design. I think a lot of it's come down to availability and they've been forced to explore the list a little bit more. But I think that will have its own silver lining, right? Because if you look at who's out of contract, Jesse Hogan, not wanted. Jake Stringer, apparently not wanted. Toby Green could stay, linked to Geelong pretty heavily. I feel like there's even another one. There's Josh Kelly, who like may or may not come back. He's contracted. Let's assume he'll come back. But this is a bit of not a crossroads, but this is going to be a shedding of the skin, as it were.
Gross.
Yeah. And I think they'll be better for it in the long run. Where that sits them next year, I'm not sure. But suddenly I think the outlook for them will be up and coming team. That's dangerous. Add Ethan Matthews into that.
I was going to say, one thing we haven't factored in a lot with the Giants, we talk about Cody Walker all the time, and do Carlton have enough? And if they get into the top 10, there's that 10% discount. The same applies to the Giants. Yeah. With Ethan Matthews trying to match on that bid as well. He's going to be massive for them. Flipping it to Port Adelaide, and I'll steer it away from this game. How much for you is it a big deal with the Richmond situation here? Richmond obviously gave up the number 1 pick this week. There's been reports that that could be used in a trade for Zach Butters. The fact that goes back to pick 2 now, do you think that's going to be tougher to get the deal done? Does it change anything for you?
I think if Zach Butters decides on Richmond, he'll get to Richmond. For Port, let's assume he went to Richmond, there was a huge benefit, as we've discussed, of it being pick 1 for the flow-on effect of getting in a pick before any bids, and then or bidding on Cody Walker, then taking a Van Hatten or something like that, and then matching a bid with a later pick 5 would still be there. The benefits of that to Port Adelaide would have been enormous, and that's kind of out the window now.
Well, you mean getting pick 1 and having the jump?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. If Richmond falling to pick 2, I don't think changes the likelihood of Zach Butters picking Richmond. Zach Butters will choose who he goes to.
He'll choose who he chooses, right?
Exactly right. So, don't know, but it would have been great for Port Adelaide had that been the outcome.
Would it have been great for Richmond? Do you think that gave them leverage?
It would have made the deal cheaper in a way, because I think pick 2 might need to come with something else now.
Because I sort of had this thing in my head. I don't know how realistic this actually is, but Zach Butters is sitting there going, he seems like the kind of guy that doesn't want to leave his former club in a bad situation.
Absolutely, yeah.
A little bit like when Liam Baker left the Tigers.
Yep.
Right? He wanted them to get something for him.
But Baker also refused to go to Fremantle. So that only goes to an extent. And I don't think it'd be enough for Butters to choose a Richmond over, say, a Bulldogs if that's who he has his heart set on.
That's the only thing that he's wanting to do.
It'll be money.
I just wondered whether the pick 1 situation may have, because it was such a significant deal, it's still a decent deal now because as we did a video today as well around this and kind of like the machinations around it. They'll still be able to. The bid, it's more about what happens to Cochrane. So Cochrane gets that bid early now from Essendon most likely. Then they'll have to match with pick 2 and then it falls down the draft order. They'll have to give up more points and they'll get a weaker player in the draft essentially. Whereas they would have had that jump on it.
But at the risk of making this too complicated for the audience, there is a scenario that could get Van Hattem either way.
There is.
Yeah.
Because it would go, just to paint this out, if they had pick 2 from Richmond,
Yeah.
they lose pick 2 in matching Cochrane, who would be bid on by Essendon at the top. That pick gets evaporated. West Coast fall into having the second pick in the draft.
Yes, after Essendon. Yeah.
And would probably take, let's say, for example, they might take Aki Butler.
Yeah.
Or Essendon take Butler, you take Teixeira.
Yeah.
And then Van Hattem's still there.
Yeah.
That's
or any one of those three. One of those three still gets to Port Adelaide. It's just whether they pick first or last.
Yeah.
But they still get one of the 3 best players in the comp.
They still get one of the best 3 who were kind of considered a big 3 in the draft. They've separated themselves from those other markers. And the other part of that is that you just have to spend more points because the bid comes for Cochrane at 1.
Yeah.
Whereas if you get that number 1 pick from Richmond, it ends up being 3.
Yes.
Because you would bid on Cody Walker at 1 as Port Adelaide. You would take your player at 2 and then the bid comes at 3.
Yep. Yeah. I think Port Adelaide will still want something in the future to help them get the other players they got next year. Watch them do something in that space, whether it's the Zach Butters deal or not. I'm not sure.
Yep. Connors 5 says clubs should do a draft time capsule that they make before the draft so we can clear up the Billings over Bont decision by getting other clubs' insights. Thoughts, Dylan? This is so Toomey's done this on Gettable. I actually think it's a ridiculously good shout.
Yeah,
it'd be so fun. Just a content piece. You dig up all these old relics, and we'd be able to go. So Fremantle actually had Murphy Reid rated as the 12th best player in the draft. So everybody else got all the shit for it, but they actually didn't rate him that much higher anyway. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great content.
Yeah.
They used to do an anonymous survey. I don't know if they still do it on afl.com.au. They used to anonymously survey 10 list managers about who would have gone pick 1, which is not quite the same thing. I remember it being a thing with McGrath, Taranto and McCluggage. And that particular draft had so many different answers. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Because that was a really even
that was an even
too.
one. Yeah. I remember McCluggage was talked about heavily there.
Yeah.
Going at pick 1.
Birdman has dropped a super chat. Thank you. Insane to think RFC trades first and more during a rebuild. RFC will split it if anything. Well, if they want Zach Butters, they're going to have to.
Yeah, right. Insane to think Richmond trades first and more during a rebuild. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing to think about with Richmond is they've also they've built a pretty good base over 2 drafts now. You got to remember they got into 2024 so heavily. So they got so many players in that draft. They doubled that up with 2 picks last year. So they sort of got that bonus, didn't they, from North Melbourne for the Whitlock. So they doubled up last year, even though they did fall back a little bit. That became 6 and 7.
Yeah.
There's a lot of academy players there.
That's 10 top 25 picks.
It's 10 top 25 picks. So they do have a lot there already. So I feel like they're better positioned to do this than a lot of other teams.
Yeah.
Is what I would say.
But evidently they're going for Zach Butters. There's no way they'd do that without trading it first.
Yeah, well, what else do they have to give?
Yeah.
I suppose you're saying split?
Well, a split is very complicated because you need to trade with another club that is in the top 5 still. Otherwise, you lose that end of first round.
Yeah. I suppose you could just cop that. I think there's a world where clubs would still trade and just cop that they lose it.
They have to make them worth that while because you have to build that into the cost, but know that the other team doesn't get that benefit.
That's why I really the main one that I see is Melbourne with picks 5 and 12. They're the only one that really has significant overs on that to give picks for pick 1 or 2 or whatever.
Yeah. But then Melbourne, if Richmond traded 1 for 5 and 12, would Richmond get the end of first rounder for pick 5?
Say that again.
Richmond hypothetically trade 1 for 5 and 12 from Melbourne, just hypothetically, or 2. Sorry, it would be.
No, they won't get it because it wasn't their their natural pick.
Yeah, it's fraught with danger. This rule is insane.
Yep.
I think
that's right.
We can move on, perhaps.
We can.
We have plenty more trade and draft content coming out this week, guys.
Oh, we do. It's actually this week was actually so fun. for draft and trade though. Like I don't know. There's so much going on. There's heaps like tons of performances from the rookies as well.
I've been on the truefooty.com.au off-season simulator a lot.
It's just all happening. So we go over to the other game on Saturday night, the piece de resistance, as you would say, Jesse. Carlton defeated the Brisbane Lions, the team that we said were the only match for the Freo Dockers. I think we predicted them to finish in the grand final, these two teams. This is the second time now that Brisbane have conceded over 150 points this season.
Wow.
That is not the score of a team in the top 4, in the top 5, in finals. That's the score that West Coast give up to Sydney.
Chill.
It is, though.
We haven't got to West Coast yet.
I actually would like to know how many times a top 4 team or a potential grand finalist have given up over 150 plus points. And to Carlton, I mean...
That's the highest score in 14 years, Carlton.
Yeah, they're on a run, but I mean, that's ridiculous. They absolutely ripped them to shreds.
I think it's the second time in a row this year, Brisbane, as much as there are sort of like maybe tactical breakdowns that are happening and maybe an edge that's been exploited here, but his head's dropping as well. Yeah. They've given up to us.
Yeah.
And that's a red flag.
It's a massive red flag. I mean, I think they've got more inconsistencies across the season as well with defensive stuff, but I do feel like there is something in just these like abysmal, like these couple against the Giants and this one, like an abysmal performance.
Yeah. I mean, Carlton were taking trick shots.
Yeah.
You probably were aware, but Carlton were on the equal record for goal kickers in a game at 16. And I think the commentator said Cripps hasn't kicked one yet. And then Carlton were seemingly aware of that. And they started to try and feed the ball to Cripps in the last minute. Yep. And Cripps just grabs the ball from 50. You could just see it coming, and there was just no resistance. It was just piss taking.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Jagger Smith kicked 2 goals. One of the things that was said about Jagger Smith, and if you watched him in his draft year, you're like, he doesn't hit the scoreboard enough. That's the one thing. Right. He doesn't kick goals. Like, he's a facilitator, he's an accumulator, all of those sorts of things. Against Brisbane, he's kicking goals from outside 50. Like, what the fuck's going on? Harry Dean pushing forward. Yeah. Kicking a goal. Like, perfect world situation for Carlton and just the worst case situation for Brisbane.
Yeah, absolutely. Carlton, that was the best Carlton performance I've seen in a long time.
Can I give you some stats?
Maybe it's the best Carlton performance I've ever seen. Is that overplaying it for a team that hasn't finished top 4 since I've been watching footy?
That was more fun than when they went on like their runs under Voss.
Yeah, I mean, this was dominant. This wasn't just like gutsy.
But it was fun. The way they played was actually fun as well, and it was creative.
Yeah, and the transition play was
the transition play. Yeah. Will Hayward was going off. Kemp kicked 6 goals, right?
Yep, career high, I think.
Yeah, ridiculous. And this is without Wiedering.
Yeah, and without even like another key forward. You know what I mean?
In this run under Fraser, do you know a player that's actually under the radar playing really well?
Ainsworth?
No. Someone that I habitually
Florent.
No.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Florent.
Chera.
Okay.
Like, he was good in this game.
Yeah, right.
He actually looked good.
Yeah. That's sort of between the games. I didn't notice Chera specifically.
I mean, not great, but that's even more Chera.
It was a stunning performance from Carlton.
Plus 10 contested possession, plus 10 clearances, plus 33 marks. So they controlled the ball as well. They were plus 35 points from stoppage, which is like old school Carlton, including plus 14 from centre bounce. Not necessarily old school Carlton. Plus 41 from turnover on the Brisbane Lions.
Wow. Can you imagine if Carlton won the flag this year? The flow-on effect to the competition, if it says that you can go 1-8 and win the flag, and I'm talking shit right now, but we saw Brisbane go 2-5 and win the flag. And if Carlton do it from 1-8, just think I'm in fairyland here because I don't think Carlton's going to win the flag. But people just forget about the home and away season. And they're like, we just need to finish in the top 10 and then we enter a 4-week or 5-week season in the finals. And that's it.
Okay, just humour me for a second. How do they do this?
They don't.
I said humour me.
What would their run be? They would play the Bulldogs in week 1 in the wildcard.
And we're predicting that they beat them in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so it may not be the Bulldogs in the end, but let's just go off the current ladder.
What if it's Collingwood?
Collingwood just beat them too.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. It's hard to flip that so quickly.
So they beat the Pies.
Yeah, okay. And then, they could win it. And then they get
Brisbane.
at the Gabba. That's a different ask, I reckon. But obviously they could win.
And they beat them.
Yes.
And then they get Sydney. No, wait, who would they get? No, they would get... they would. No, they get Freo or
wait,
Adelaide.
so that elimination final, they would play Brisbane or so, and then they'd play a losing qualifying final player.
Yeah,
team.
Adelaide probably, who've just lost to Freo.
Oh, Adelaide touched them up earlier, but that was a while ago, wasn't it? That's a tough ask.
They win it.
I'm saying no constantly. And then they play Fremantle in the grand final.
There's no way.
That one's strange. Not the grand final, but like Freo. I'm fascinated to see how that last round game goes between them and Freo. Bogey side for the Dockers and absolutely nothing to play for at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah.
I think Carlton's a chance of that
They're
one.
a chance.
MCG grand final would be a bit different.
I mean, if they win that, is there any chance they can actually get above 10th if they win that game? If they win out? Maybe not. Maybe not. I'm asking too much of you.
Yeah,
I keep sending you
scrambling.
Yeah.
They're 6 points behind Collingwood, so no, let's assume. And 2 behind, 8 points behind the Bulldogs. So it seems unlikely. Let's just stick with 10th.
Here's a little cheeky stank bank here embedded in my Brisbane stuff. John Eastwood says, the Lions cannot win the premiership this year. No plan B, not enough hunger, too many players clocking it in.
That flows into a super chat we just got. Redback Spider, thank you so much. He says, I don't like to blow my own trumpet. You should try it. It's good fun. But remember my super chat about the market overreaction to Brisbane a few weeks ago? Well, it's fair.
I love you, Redback Spider, but I can't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning, let alone a super chat from a couple of weeks ago. I'll trust you.
Yeah.
I'll trust you on that. It's a fair call. I think there have been a few people that have kind of brought that up. That, like, you know, earlier in the season we were saying the gap of Brisbane to the next best. You know, you're looking at it from the perspective that they bought in Draper, they bought in Allen, and then like they've got an Annabelle come in through the draft. Levi Ashcroft's a year older. You'd think that this team was only getting better and better and better, and it just seems to have... It's weird because most three-peat premiership potential teams are getting too old. Brisbane aren't.
No.
So there's not really anything from an age profile perspective that's stopping them. It's a hunger.
Hunger, I think, is a fair one. It's also just hard to maintain being the best when you're the best. Believe me. So, like, I'm sure
so well.
Thank you. I think there's so much of that going on. I don't know if I ever thought they were like... I never thought they were the best team this year. I've always been Fremantle. Ugh, what a sentence. I thought they were the most realistic challenger to Fremantle, and I therefore was kind of hoping, please come back, Brisbane. So, can I have my Blackberry back, please?
Now do it in a lady's voice.
Yeah, it's a Peep Show reference. But it is alarming this has happened again. We thought this was behind the Brisbane Lions.
And I think they'll definitely be calling. Okay, I shouldn't get stuck.
Let us know in the chat if you watch Peep Show and get the dumb things we say.
Yes. I must admit, watching Brisbane capitulate, I was thinking in my head, as Brisbane was sinking lower and lower, Fremantle were rising and reaping all the benefits.
Yeah. I wasn't listening.
I said, as I was watching the Brisbane Lions capitulate and go down lower and lower, I was like, this is at like the expense of Freo potentially winning the flag.
Yeah, that's true. Come on, Hawthorn is my say right now. But I still think Fremantle's pretty safe. I think everyone's playing for second at this point. Dylan from Connors says, do you think Kalani White is a chance to debut this week?
Ooh,
so it's kind of a niche one for you there.
It's an extremely niche one for me there. I haven't been tracking him in the VFL.
No, me neither.
Been going all right, has he? Kalani?
I have no idea. I haven't tracked Fringe. Not even Fringe, just like first year late draft picks at Melbourne. Respectfully, I just haven't.
I'll have to call my VFL
surprised.
contacts.
Yeah.
Well, so I'd imagine that is there an available, like a spot opening up for him?
You got Heath and Gorn.
Yeah, they're not injured, are they?
Not that I know of. Gorn just came off a BOG. Did Heath get injured?
Maybe.
Either way, I'd probably think it's safer to not. But no insight there.
That's an interesting one. What do you think of the Lockie Neal touring Collingwood chat?
Unsurprising. Didn't give it a second thought. I think he's gone. Yeah.
Any part of you thinking that a player like Lachie Neale shouldn't do that while he's playing for Brisbane in season day before the game.
Yeah, I think that's a fair take. Although I kind of wonder how often that is a thing already.
Yeah.
To some extent, you know, he'd want to tour and get a feel for the place. Although they're in a premiership defence. It does seem a little weird now that I'm thinking about it, but I do wonder if it's commonplace.
It's probably commonplace. I guess it was just quite public, and I don't think they sort of did too much to conceal it, I suppose. But
well, that's true.
Yeah. I don't suppose
everything gets out at the moment, right? Like Australian having a coffee. With a daiquiri with Sam Mitchell.
I don't suppose it's ideal in a situation where you're going for that three-peat, I suppose, because it's like, but then again, it's like it's all over the media anyway, so it's not like the Brisbane Lions. Yeah,
that's very true. I guess I think like if say Brisbane make the grand final, the free agency window opens that Monday. So to some extent, you need to put in some groundwork on that decision. So I kind of empathise, but you're right.
Yeah,
Day before the game, when you're in a premiership defence, I don't know. Lachie Neale's pretty locked in character, I reckon.
And I also feel, to be honest, I feel if he was playing in a team like let's put him in the Freo side right now. So he's a Freo player. He's done everything that he's done. It's still Lachie Neale.
Yeah,
but he's at Freo right now.
Yeah,
which is not that hard to do because he did play for them.
Yeah,
I think that would be much, much worse.
So the difference being Brisbane have won a couple.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that matters because I reckon this Freo team, if somebody did something that disruptive to this team, all the other players are going like, oh shit, like,
maybe,
like he's kind of jumping ship on us. Yeah. We haven't done anything yet.
Yeah.
Brisbane have the evidence that they've done something, and Lachie Neale's played huge finals, big games. He doesn't have as much to reimburse them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
I think I follow it. Yeah, it would be more disruptive, whereas at the Brisbane Lions, there's a belief that they'll be fine, I suppose. Not that Freo wouldn't be fine if they lost to Lachie Neale.
Do you think I suppose basically the way to do this, if Caleb Sarong started touring Hawthorn's facilities for a trip to Melbourne in round 24,
that's a good
That's fucking weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I am with you. Yeah. Is it actually as big a deal because it's Brisbane, but we're just treating it differently because of a psychological bias?
Maybe
it is a big deal. I don't know.
Maybe that's where I'm sort of going with this. But
yeah, I'm with you. Let us know in the chat.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, would he have been doing this in 2024?
Would he have been doing this in 2024? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like after they'd lost to Collingwood in the grand final.
Yeah.
And they're gunning for that first premiership.
Gunny. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Can I have my BlackBerry back now? Richmond defeated the West Coast Eagles. This was a classic, an absolute classic on Sunday, streamed by the True Footy crew, 84-73. I've got a stat for you here, Jesse, and this is not mine. I don't know where this came from, but 4 of Adam Uze's coaching wins have come against West Coast and Andrew McQualter. 4 of Adam Uze's coaching wins. He's won 10 in total. He's won 10 games and 4 of them against the West Coast Eagles.
That's a bad record for Andrew Gibraltar.
That is a shocking record for Andrew Gibraltar and Adam Yiz.
Nice. Would you believe, and I know you know the answer to this because I said it to you before we went live, West Coast have a better record against GWS since their rebuild started than they do against Richmond.
Wow.
In that time, Richmond's won 9 games in 3 years. GWS have made a prelim and finished 5th in a separate year. And West Coast has beaten GWS more times.
Do you have any idea why that's the case?
No. I think that we saw the same thing play out in this game that has happened the last 4 occasions. Uze and McQualter have gone head to head, and that's Richmond hanging back and letting West Coast sort of make their own mistakes and then beating them on the rebound. And then all the games sort of played out very formulaically. And they have, they're not a great team, but they have speedy, skillful runners, and that was enough to win the game. And West Coast have some witches' hats in the forward line and limited players, and you can give them all the opportunities in the world, and they're not going to kick a winning score most weeks.
Yeah, they do tend to get teams that don't have, that struggle with things like you can tell that West Coast are obviously a big contested ball winning side at the moment, struggling to get to the outside a little bit. And Richmond exploit that. Like you saw earlier in the season with Carlton when they were at their traditional worst at inside to outside play. Really, really struggled, and they just get you on the counter attack. You try, like West Coast tried to play that forward half game. They kind of peppered, but didn't really threaten at the same time.
Yeah, I mean it's been present this year. I think against Adelaide we had a monstrous last quarter, just peppering the inside 50s, but not doing anything. Against Port Adelaide we had 20 inside 50s in a quarter.
Because it must be said, this is a narrative about this game. Like I think David King said today, if Waterman had his kicking boots on, they're in all sorts.
Yeah.
I sort of don't agree with that.
Yeah, so I want to put this to you. So I did a True Eagle review of this game, and it's funny, I watched the game pretty unemotional. We were talking about Essendon's pick 1 in the last 5 minutes, like I didn't really care. Doing the review, I found myself a little bit fired up. And so, yeah, it came out a little strong, but I've been picked up and criticised by the Eagles audience in large because I suggested that we didn't dominate the game. And there's a very strong contingent, and it could be a vocal minority, but there's a very strong contingent of West Coast fans who think West Coast dominated the game and should have won. I want to get your thoughts as a neutral. I didn't feel like West Coast were in as much control as that. I know they had a lot of shots at goal, but the expected score was only a 2-goal win, and I think the variance on a expected score, like that wouldn't be the first game we've won on expected score and lost. Doesn't mean we should have won them all.
No.
What are your thoughts?
All right, so my take was watching the game. You dominated certain aspects of the game, like certain things. I reckon your clearance numbers would have been a lot higher, inside 50s, forward half territory and those sorts of things. But there was it was one of the most blunt offensive performances I've seen from anyone.
Yeah.
In contrast to that, I reckon every time Richmond went forward, I thought they were going to score.
Yeah.
So yes, they didn't have the opportunities, I suppose, but they had a clear strategy of how to beat you, and it was to transition the ball, run it really, really quickly from D50 to forward 50, and they hurt you. So you couldn't make it, for me, you couldn't make an argument that West Coast deserved to win that game.
No, we should be careful with the nuance of that because it's different to say that West Coast dominated and deserved. Those are two different things.
But it's also different to say that you dominated because you did dominate certain parts of the game, but that doesn't mean...
We lost contested ball. We were +7 in inside 50s.
Did you win clearances?
+7 contested ball, and I actually have it written down somewhere. +7 or 8. Yeah, something like that. We won clearances.
You won clearances.
Pretty limited stat though. Like
it's a limited stat,
not
but
something
you controlled territory, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely did that. I just don't think that's dominance.
No.
If you're doing absolutely nothing with it.
If you're doing nothing with the ball.
And, the same idea that, like, we should have won if we kick straight. Well, we do that every week. And, okay, 317 or whatever is a pretty extreme example. But if you have players who routinely miss from 15 out, how can you say we should have won?
You also never had, for any point in the game, you never had scoreboard pressure on Richmond.
No, never. Yeah.
So, like, the misses, it's one thing... I reckon it's one thing to miss when you're 15 points in front and you can't put your foot on the throat and then they come back. There's dominance in that, but you were never even in front.
No, I don't think we were we? They kicked 4 of the first 6, Richmond.
Yeah.
Jake is also 8 goals 3 from within 15 metres. 8 goals 3.
From inside 15.
Yeah. That should be 10 or 11 out of 11 every time.
Yeah.
So, like, it's hard to sort of make the argument we should have won when we don't play like that any other week, so why would we start kicking straight this week?
He's a weird
or be
player.
potent at all.
Yeah.
I broadly made the point that I think Richmond played us like a fiddle, as they do the same thing every time.
Well, that's the thing. There's too much evidence.
Yeah, it happens 4 times in a row.
4 times in a row, and basically the same things happened every time.
Yeah.
You've got to start looking at yourself. You can't just say, we missed chances, we'll get them next time.
Yeah, if we just hoik the ball inside 50 and there's not a lot of threat. I suppose we did have shots at goal, but as I said, the expected score is only a 2-goal win, which suggests that the shots on goal weren't that easy. You could point to a few obvious ones, but I don't know. I think it's a bit of a cop-out to say that we dominated the game.
Yeah. I mean, so you look at a Sam Lawler in this game who you could make an argument. He kicked 3 goals, just about could have kicked 4. He had a class inside forward 50 where you went, that is somewhat separating this game, but he also had so much more space to operate in. He got those one-on-ones, like that classic example at the end with that goal that he kicks against Starcevic. Like, you'd like a one-on-one like that as a forward, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And then his finishing ability just stands up.
Yeah. Yeah, we desperately need to add some ground level players and players who can run and use the ball in a damaging way. We've got Josh Lindsay in the wings, but he plays a back half game.
Yeah.
So, it's a bit of a plus.
The problem with Josh, he's just a kicker.
Yeah. I think we could have used that potentially. I don't think we would have won. Definitely not. But yeah, it's a personnel thing as well. It's partly system. We make it hard for our forwards, but we don't have the skills, and we don't seem to train skills, but we also don't have any talent. Like we've got Harvey Johnston playing as a small forward.
Your small forward line is, for me, clearly the worst in the league.
The worst I've ever seen in the comp.
Yeah.
Is there okay, that's a pretty big statement that I can't possibly verify, but I can't imagine a worse forward line, a small forward line the game has ever seen.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy. There's nothing.
We converted a wingman, a midfielder.
Milan Murdoch has got a lot of hype this season coming from the mid-season draft. I think a lot of that is the fact that he's just better than anybody else you had.
Yeah.
He's good. Don't get me wrong. At a role, he's good, but he's not a finisher.
No, not at all. He's a midfielder playing a pressure role in a forward line.
Yeah.
And I say waffle midfielder, converted to a forward line at AFL level. We need to desperately recruit Will McLaughlin. Go there. Go to the Brisbane Lions. Poach him that Carlton and Essendon want. Steely Green. Not in the Richmond side at the moment. These guys are upgrades.
Yake Rogers.
Yeah. A slightly different style player, but definitely fits the bill.
And Archie Butler would be
Yeah.
great if he's still there.
Yeah, we may not have control over that one. Yeah.
But him coming into he is that player.
Yeah.
He is that forward, mid, I don't know, Cozzy Pickett, Zach Bailey type player.
Yeah. I wanted to go hard for Zach Bailey. Do you remember I said that early in the year?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that's an easy thing to say. Everyone would say that about Zach Bailey.
Would you give up pick 3?
For Zach Bailey? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with that. We do have to talk about a one, Elliot Joseph.
I sort of changed my tune on him, but were you going to say something?
Well, I wanted to talk about, so he has that moment at the end of the game. I don't think we really noticed that. But
that specific moment, let's do that, yeah.
So he marks the ball inside forward 50 and sort of just, I think at that point we'd sort of conceded that West Coast had lost the game anyway. Like you said, you'd checked out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then
I didn't notice this.
Do you remember there was a moment on the stream where I actually said oh shit, you guys are actually kind of back here.
Yeah, I knew we'd caught up. I knew we weren't going to win.
You were I didn't
even say anything. Oh, you were talking to me and I'm watching. I see Harvey Johnston kick a good goal. Liam Duggan kicked a good goal. We're 10 points down, which is that's a big margin in the game that we watched. So I wasn't up and about. But I didn't notice the Yo thing at the time.
So Yo gets the ball and I think sort of seemingly takes about 30 or 40 seconds off the clock.
Crazy.
And he's looking back. He's kind of doesn't know whether to have the shot, but then he's taking a long time to go back and then he misses.
Yeah.
Cooked?
So this was actually one of his better games for a while. He had 22 and 10 tackles and 5 clearances, which, it's better than 12 that he gets most weeks. So if he's getting his 10 tackles, then I'll soften on that. That is a dog's breakfast, what happened. Do you think he thought we were 5 goals down like we did? Or like you did?
Maybe.
Do you think do you think he didn't think the game was on?
That's the only thing.
Because that's still poor, right?
Yeah. He really had to just get back off his mark really quickly and just kick that as fast as he could. And if you miss, you miss.
Yeah, that would still be an improvement.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely crazy. I'd love to hear him comment on that.
He picked the worst of both worlds. He took a long time and he missed.
I know.
Yeah, that was absolutely mental. What do you think about him? I think you said you got a message from your dad, who's also a West Coast fan, about Elliot Yo.
Yeah, on that moment, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was just because he missed. So I got a message at that time.
Oh, so he was talking about that.
He messaged me at the time of the stream and I looked at my phone and he said, get Yo out of the team, which is probably a bad...
reactionary take, right? But when that stuff happens...
Yeah, but over the last 5 weeks, probably not reactionary, to be fair.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. He's been really, really poor.
We got a few in the chat here. A question for Jesse. If the inverse score and scenario, would the position still be the same or would you say West Coast were lucky to win? Would I say we were lucky to win? It's hard to imagine that.
But the problem is here with inversing this, what your answer is to this is that you've seen it over 4 games, like the last 4 times you've played them now.
Yeah.
That same thing has happened with that team. So it's hard just to take it as a single game in isolation because you've got to look at it as 2 coaches going head to head and what they can do to each other more so than just a game.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely agree with you. It actually did occur to me when we were making a little bit of that charge in the last quarter. I was like, how would it feel if we won this? And it reminded me of when you guys beat us because Jake Waterman hit the post.
Oh, yeah.
And remember how you just didn't care that you'd won. Like you'd felt like it was a bit of a sour experience, right? It would have been like that. And I was thinking I'm still going to slaughter them if they win. It wouldn't have been an impressive win by any stretch.
No, not at all.
So, yes, my position is exactly the same. I have slaughtered us on a win before this year against GWS, but probably a little bit harsh on that day.
Yeah, when you're this type of team, you take wins when you can get them. But it doesn't mean that you can't critique the performance.
Yeah.
At the same time, like you're not going to. No one's asking to play like current Freo or current Hawthorn when you're these teams, but like there are still some things that you want to see, right?
Yeah, and it was pitiful, to be honest. It's pitiful every time we play Richmond. We've lost to 18th twice this year. Both times it was Richmond.
What I will say about West Coast watching them this season, and even watching them in that game, I don't think you give up. I don't think it's a desire thing. It's more of just a quality thing.
Totally agree with that. Yeah, I'm not filthy on the players for not trying or anything. The fact that they're trying is the part of the problem. Official UFL says, I'm so sorry Yaron have abandoned you. No one should have mauled you for being realistic. I appreciate you backing me in there. I don't want to be too dramatic. They're just criticising my take, which is completely valid. They're not mauling me. That's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. My audience is great.
Yeah.
And they call me on my shit if they think I've got it wrong. We've gone West Coast heavy there. Anything about Richmond there?
We have gone very... Yeah, sorry.
I don't know if it felt like the biggest story. It's probably just because I'm an Eagles fan, but Richmond winning, there's a bit of the Zach Butters implications. As I said, I don't think it matters, but they do, that like he'll still get to them if he chooses them, but it's nice to avoid the wooden spoon.
It's nice to avoid the wooden spoon, and it's nice to have... You need moments along any season. You don't want to have prolonged periods of just yuckness.
Yeah.
Could have chosen a better word there, but...
No. Yuckety was what you were looking for.
Yeah. Yuckseth.
Worse.
They now... Like, I've talked about consistently across this season how they haven't had access to those players.
Yep.
Just having those little things like Sam Lawler breaking that tackle on Starcevic and kicking the goal. Very, very nice.
That'd probably be the thing that stands out in the Richmond fan memory of this game is Sam Lawler.
God, like Sam Lawler, just the kind of the balance that he has and the poise and that just finishing ability. Like his kicks just look scary that they always look like they're going to go through. Even that one that he hit the post, remember? For the fourth goal. It was just it was coming back perfectly. It was going to go, and he's just such a nice footballer.
Oh, he was sick. I loved it.
I do. I actually love watching Sam Lawler play because he's just such a pure footballer.
Yeah.
So I thought that was awesome for Richmond fans. I think, Taj Houghton wasn't like hugely impactful in the game, but he does some nice things.
Mm-hmm.
He's a dancer. He's got really, really fast feet. So I like some of the stuff that he did. I think Grill had a moment. There was the one, he picked up a nice little ground ball. There was one that Bazzo could have spoiled. I think it was early in the game, and Bazzo missed the spoil.
Oh, yeah, when it went over him?
Yeah, it went over him, and Lynch was involved, and Grill did a nice little, thing.
Yeah,
I suppose. I think Cummings still playing hurt, so he can't kind of get... His physicality is good, but he can't sort of, have that performance that he probably needs at the moment.
Yeah.
I think if they can just get a little bit of a taste of this in the last 3 rounds of the season, they're going to be a bit happier.
Yeah, absolutely. I did comment before the game, this was a big game for both teams for morale, not for anything else, not for the trajectory of club, although you could make certain arguments about that. But both teams just... desperate for a win. And sets of fans both deserve to win.
Do you reckon they needed it more?
I don't think so. I think West Coast needed it. I think that West Coast are now going to finish the season on an 11-game losing streak. But I wouldn't say Richmond needed it less. They also needed it.
I think if it helps, North are going to finish on an 8.
Yeah, that does help a little bit. Thank you.
Yeah, that's better. Joel Haber says Taj's tackle on Reed was beautiful.
Yeah, Reed got caught holding the ball late in the game. Yeah. I remember thinking he did get a hand to it, but I didn't watch the replay of that particular thing. So it was a good tackle still. It's hard. Like most players don't bring down Reed.
You're like, it wasn't fucking ball. No. What do you reckon of that mark, that Tom Brown, the front on contact?
So, people clarified for me. Tom Brown marked it. It was a mark every day, but the umpire signaled front on.
He did.
That's what happened. I didn't realize.
I saw the replay later.
Yeah, so that's annoying. I criticised West Coast in my review for that
because you got to remember when we're doing the watch-alongs, we can't hear the commentary.
Yeah.
So we don't really know what's being said. We're just watching the game.
Yeah.
And I saw as soon as you could tell that Tom Brown had marked the ball, and all the West Coast players top of screen were just streaming forward.
Yeah.
You didn't stop.
They got a goal directly from it. The correct call was a Tom Brown mark, but the confusion was obviously the umpire making
the signal.
The signal, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's an interesting one. 157 in the chat. We will move on, I think, to Melbourne.
I'm laughing.
Defeating Gold Coast.
Kate says, listening to you talk about Lawler is how she hopes that her fiance talks about her when she's not around.
He's so good. He's so good. He's just the most pure footballer I've ever seen.
We're approaching 2 hours and I need to go to the bathroom.
Go to the bathroom, mate.
Yeah. Sponsored by Kleenex.
I'll get back. Why was that gross?
Because it's a stand-up, not a sit-down.
Yeah, interesting. The official UFL says that was a self-deprecating joke about coaxing you into cheering for the Suns. I'm sure Eagles fans are lovely. Absolutely. Boy says, mention Lawler. He's so fun. Now, this is an interesting one. New Haven. I think Richmond are better off with the pick than Butters. This is an interesting conversation. Do you give up in a rebuild, pick one for a player like Zach Butters, 26-year-old in the prime of their career? I think with where Richmond are at the moment, I think Richmond have a slight luxury that they are able to do this. We spoke about it before. They've gone to 2 drafts heavily. Jesse had the stat, I think it's something like 12 players inside the top 25 in the last 3 years, something like that. You've got Sam Cumming pick 7. You've got Sam Grill pick 8. You've got Sam Lawler pick 1. Josh Smiley pick 7. You got Taj Houghton. You got Jonty Fall. You've got Harry Armstrong. You've got Luke Traynor, who actually we didn't even mention Luke Traynor. Luke Traynor was ridiculously good yesterday. They've already built a bit of a base for this rebuild, and it helped with the fact that they had such an experienced group before that. They've had the Vlostons and the Broads to lead this through. The injury stuff is a problem, of course, but I think you get a Zach Butters in here, you give up the pick 1, and you bring him in for both morale, leadership, the development that he can give to these players like Sam Lawler, like Taj Houghton, being able to run out and get some nourishment from the wins that they're going to get with the Zach Butters, I think would be absolutely huge. So I think they have to do this. You can then keep recruiting from other clubs as you go along. You're still not going, getting Zach Butters in. I don't think Richmond are going to go from last on the ladder to 5th on the ladder, right? So you're still going to get some draft picks come in, and you can still go to the trade period as well. So I think that's what they have to do. You got Tassie coming in. You've got to improve. You've got to improve fast. You can't just go exciting young players consistently.
Totally agree. And if you sign Zach Butters, that could bring more, like in the future, in a Tasmania-riddled kind of era that we're about to approach with the next couple, players will want to go play for Richmond now to a greater extent.
I'll give you the exact caveat of, I don't know if that's the right word in this situation, but why you would look at West Coast right now and look at what Harley Reid is doing. Imagine the benefit for Sam Cumming, Taj Houghton, Sam Grill, Sam Lawler. Imagine the benefit that Harley Reid would have if he had this superstar come in and kind of be like more of a problem for opposition.
I've got Harry Schonberg.
You've got Harry Schonberg, but they would have Zach Butters.
Yeah, slight upgrade.
It's, you know what I mean? It's like the opposition have to be concerned about Zach Butters. Totally. You can no longer be concerned about Harley Reid.
Look better.
He'll make them look better, and he'll help that next level of player.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's big.
I mean, you see what Jagger does with some support, not taking anything away from Jagger, but he's also got Sam Walsh and Paddy Cripps.
Exactly.
And those things definitely connected.
The leadership and the pressure that they take off is huge. What do we have here?
Gold Coast and Melbourne.
Gold Coast and Melbourne, we do. 114 to 106, the Ds. This was a bit of a derby. This was the Petrarca derby, right?
Yeah. The first clash between them where he's played, I think.
Yeah. Did you have a thought, because I was sort of like switching this game on and off and having a look at the scores, and I was thinking throughout, I'm like, Melbourne have got a lot more than just the win to play for here. They're gunning for a top 4 spot. There was so much jeopardy for them because they were gunning for the top 4 spot. They also don't want the Gold Coast Suns to win a lot of games because they've got their pick.
They would have jumped north, actually.
They would have jumped north, and that drops Melbourne back a rung in the draft.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot in this, and gee, the Suns gave them a bit of a scare, which would have really hurt their finals hopes.
Yes.
Like, they're going to play finals, but obviously where they finish is very important too. So a bit of a banana skin game. The Gold Coast Suns are a little bit of an unknown quantity. Well, we know that they're pretty bad, but 9-game losing streak with that much talent, it does feel like they are a team you probably don't want to play at this time of year in a strange way. Like there is, when you compare like the bottom 6, they're a bit more dangerous.
Yep.
And we saw that in this game where Gold Coast gave them a big scare.
But that's been the thing. So what have they lost now? 9?
I think it's 9.
9 in a row.
Yeah.
But they still have Noah Anderson and Matt Rao and Tuke Miller in their midfield. Like they still have all these fantastic players. They've got their Ben Kings. Collins got injured in this game, but obviously like they're back. Like all of their lines are great and stacked with talent, so they're going to remain a dangerous side. A bit on first crack here. So I was watching that. The positioning of Ben King that they spoke about on there, I think it was like really interesting and kind of shows what Damien Hardwick is doing like more holistically with this team. You've mentioned it a little bit, like they've become, was it the youngest team in the competition?
Yeah, I don't know if that's factually correct right now, like this week, but yes,
has been
basically, for a couple of weeks in a row.
Dylan Patterson's played games, Bo Adamsell's played games, Jai Murray's played games. You've got Yazek Eulens. I feel like I'm missing somebody there, but there's basically they've blooded a lot of these younger players, as well as that going for Walter as the key target man and changing that positioning signals that they certainly are using the back end of this season to look to the future. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, they had all 4 first round picks playing. I can't remember if they all played in this game, but a few weeks ago that was the case, which speaks to that. Boy Boo says, as a Freo fan, Hardwick is right about Gold Coast being similar to Freo 3 or 4 years ago. Best 23 players requesting a trade, a down year after winning an elimination final, good list but underperforming. That's a pretty good comparison. And then also, I think he also compared to Melbourne, both in 2019 and this year.
So I'll give you his quote just to fill people in here.
Yeah,
he said, if you look at our template and their template, similar things have happened over history if you go back over time. So I agree. I get it. I do worry a little bit though about these coaches. Like Clarkson does it a lot at North Melbourne. So that's maybe why it sort of is jarring a little bit to me when you're constantly going back over either the previous club or trying to paint a picture and use like almost like a false equivalence in some sense, because they're not, like, as much as there's similarities, it's not the same. They're just patterns, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you're going like, you're trying to sell something. You've lost 9 in a row. Just shut the fuck up. That's kind of like a little bit how I see it. And Clarkson does it all the time. And he's like, we sort of see Zane Dursmer. He's a bit like Gunston was for Hawthorn when we won those 4 flags. And so it doesn't mean we're going to win 4 flags, right?
No, it doesn't. I do think the Gold Coast comparison is a bit different to North. Because Gold Coast have stepped back. And
what I'm saying is though, Hardwick does it.
Absolutely.
And he does it with Richmond too. He's going to be that guy.
He's curating a message as well.
And he's comparing it to, he's going, remember when I won those 3 flags? That was pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that here again, and you have to have faith in me.
Yeah. I do think he's probably right on this case though.
Yeah.
I think that'll be fine. But I do get what you're saying. And he's definitely curating a message. Absolutely.
Talk to me about why he's right about this.
Because the talent is more demonstrably strong. They've been there before.
Yep.
And there's clearly discontent there, but they're also just refilling their list with top end picks. Obviously, that doesn't always end up being right, but I think the parallels there to, say, Richmond back then and Melbourne recently are probably stronger than they are with the North side that hasn't ever proven they're at that level. So the gap between Clarkson talking about what he's got now and what he had is bigger.
I agree.
Obviously, though, Hardwick could be wrong here, but I think they'll be fine. Official UFL corrected us. It's 10, as did Kate. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Fair.
Yeah. I did have a point. I've forgotten them. That's okay. I think they'll be okay, to be honest. I don't think the footy hasn't really dropped them. It's been bad. And I did say a few weeks ago, I was like, I wouldn't tip them over anyone except the bottom 2.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way anymore.
I think the only part where this can go, I do agree with you. Like, I suspect that they will bounce back next season.
Yeah. This game was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it was a decent performance
from a low bar. Yeah.
From a low bar, and where we had them at the start of the season, it's kind of crazy to think that this was a good performance for them.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, because Melbourne was the team everyone had in the bottom 6 or 7 teams, right?
Yeah.
And then Gold Coast were the team that was going to be right up the top of the ladder. Kate also says here, first club to be first on the ladder in the same season to also having a 10-game losing streak.
Wow.
That's a cool start.
That is a cool start, yeah. Yeah, when did they fall out of the 4?
It just looked like it was going to happen.
Yeah.
It really did just look like it was going to happen. Petrarca's in the team. He's tearing out of the midfield, kicking goals. I remember when I played one of our early episodes, they'd just played West Coast. They'd won by 10 goals or something.
Yeah.
And I played that Petrarca
Yeah.
song, that techno thing.
Yeah. Yes, I do remember that. Thank you. And then I did the same thing with Matt Flynn the week later.
Yeah, and I didn't get it.
Yeah. Well, I tried to sing it to you, Sean Paul.
Oh, yeah, you were on the video link.
Yeah. Melbourne did win the game.
Yes.
Carlton Tholstrup went to Petrarca, subdued him. He had a pretty quiet day, actually, even in the Gold Coast play. Subdued.
Sounds sexual.
No, it doesn't.
No.
God. What the hell? It's kind of dark. Anyway, Max Gawn, BOG, put the team on his back.
Yeah.
And he's probably the game's greatest ruck ever.
Yeah, I heard somebody say he might be the best final quarter player of all time.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I have no way of backing that up.
I haven't tracked that, but possibly. I remember him being good in all the quarters, to be honest.
He's good. He's good in all of the quarters.
Yeah.
Jesse.
Fitzgerald, bit of a find. Obviously, it helps to be in a good team, but another strong performance, 2 goals and 23. He hasn't really put a foot wrong at AFL level since he's come into the team.
I've just got a comment here from Connors_5 says, Dylan, who would you say, and I'll throw this to you too, Jesse, who is the number 1 best emerging Melbourne talent? I think it's Harvey Langford.
Yeah. It's hard to go past that.
I suppose you could go the tall in Van Rooyen. Like there'd be an argument because he's a tall and they're harder to find.
That's true. Yeah. I feel like Windsor still could have some potential, but maybe it's a bit of a stretch to say him. But
I think Langford's better.
Yeah, fair. I feel like Windsor is a sexier player though.
Yeah, he is with his speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But likelihood it's probably Langford. Yeah. Where does Xavier Taylor rank? As a guy, he's a draftee, obviously, so projecting it.
Yeah, I think I'd take Langford. Xavier Taylor could be really good. He's only played a couple of games at the level, so it's trickier.
Yeah.
I mean, Latrell Pickett is flashy,
He's
but
pretty raw. Hasn't done a lot yet.
Yeah. And I didn't see him a lot in his draft year either, so it's a little bit more difficult. But Langford for me, who would you go? You go Langford?
Yeah, I think you'd have to say Langford. Gilesy says he's not better than Cox. Max Gawn. I think he is.
Sorry?
I said he's the greatest ruck of all time. Gilesy said Dean Cox.
Oh, for some reason, when you said Cox, I went straight to Mason.
Oh, okay. I thought
and
you were
I'm
going to
like,
go somewhere else then.
that's obviously a troll, Jesse.
Yeah. How did you fall for that, Jesse?
Yeah. That's really difficult because I was a kid.
There's also a lot of rucks I didn't see. Like Jim Starnes I never watched, Polly Farmer.
No, I mean, you can only kind of do it in
Jack
your own
Tyler.
lifetime.
Yeah.
But it's a tricky one. Cox was really, really good.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think there's an element with Dean. I would maybe say Max Gawn has better performances, but do you factor in with Dean Cox that he maybe revolutionised the position?
He definitely did. Does that make him better? I'm not sure.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
But I think you do have to leave a little bit of a trailblazer tax on some of these players who changed the game and paved the way for the others.
Gawn's floating behind the ball and just dominating in the air is probably pretty new though.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
He's won games for Melbourne so many times.
Yeah. I don't know if throwing the ruck back, that's an old tactic too though.
Yeah, but he's the best to ever do that, so
probably.
effectively and be a genuine problem.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest problem for an opponent in a lot of games. And Melbourne's had some talent.
Yeah. Dean Cox was a better kick, wasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And probably better aerobic capacity. He was a running midfielder a lot of the time.
I feel like Max Gawn's a pretty good, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But
More
Cox was a midfielder.
In the chains.
Yeah.
In the chains.
He also won a lot of games for West Coast. Gawn's longevity would also have Dean Cox.
Yeah.
Cox won a...
Do you think that's a Western Australia factor coming into play a little bit?
Possibly.
The travel.
Oh. Maybe. That's probably a fair point.
Just wondering.
I think the body also probably can't cope with being that aerobic midfielder for as many years. But I mean, Gawn had 25 in this game. It's not like he doesn't accumulate.
Yeah, he does get a lot of the ball as well. I'm just trying to look through the comments. So that's what we have to talk about now with Melbourne. Are they in the top 4 race?
They're in the race as we look at it now. They are level on points with 4th. They're just 10% behind. So, yeah, there's no way you can say they're not in the race. And it comes down to their run home. We are streaming this weekend Melbourne v Fremantle at the MCG.
We are.
That's going to be a big question. If they win that game, they'll obviously stay in the race. If they lose it, they're probably out.
This is a fascinating part of this. I did a little clip on like an Insta reel today on this. So Melbourne and Adelaide both play the Fremantle Dockers and they're both gunning for that 4th position. Adelaide have 4th position right now, so they're in the box seat. Brisbane are in the middle, who are in 5th position, and then Adelaide are who's in 6th? Melbourne. Melbourne are in 6th. 2 of those teams play the Fremantle Dockers. And I kind of just threw it out. I don't necessarily agree with myself here, but I threw it out on Instagram. Could Fremantle like rest players, or at least attempt to rest players, to manufacture a better opponent for them in the first week of the finals to avoid Brisbane? Yeah. Dual premiership threat.
It would be fascinating if they did that. In reality, no. And flirting with form is so dangerous as well. So you wouldn't. You could manage players though.
Well, that's probably more what I meant.
Yeah, you don't massage the result, as it were.
So apparently there's been a brief from the AFL on this as well. So there is a bit of a crackdown on the possibility of this happening.
Yeah.
As to try to stop these dead rubber games. But you could try. You could do some stuff.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think Fremantle have earned the right to be able to rest players in the last 3 weeks of the year. I do remember being filthy in 2014. Sydney rested so many players in the final round, including Buddy Franklin, and they got upset by Richmond, and that cost us finals. So it screws over other teams as well when you do stuff like that. Oh, it does,
yeah, massively.
So I get that, but I also kind of think, how do you legislate that?
Yeah, exactly. Can I ask you the question, just without thinking about whether they throw the game or anything? I'm sure they're not going to throw the game. I'm being a little bit facetious there, but would you prefer to play Adelaide in the first week of finals or Melbourne than Brisbane?
Yes. So I did remark recently, Fremantle, obviously Brisbane just coming off a huge loss, but if we ignore that for a second and still treat Brisbane as Fremantle's biggest threat, that may or may not be true. But I said it's actually better if Fremantle get them in week 1 to get them at Optus Stadium and make it harder for them to play finals. Now, I think it's better for Fremantle if Brisbane finish 4th rather than 3rd.
Yes.
And avoid them. But
agree with that.
But Brisbane finishing 5th is the best outcome.
That is the best outcome,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Because that means that they don't get to play at the Gabba in week 2. They will get it in week 1.
Yeah, they'll have to travel all 3 remaining games after the elimination final.
And they won't get, as I understand, looking through it, they won't get Freo. If Freo win through their prelim, as they are expected to do, they beat whatever team is in 4th, they won't get them in the prelim. They'll get Brisbane in the grand final.
Yes.
So Brisbane have to be perfect from there.
Yeah.
So in a way, most likely at that point, though they have been in the past, but in a way, it's most likely that Freo wouldn't face them at all.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, worst case for Freo is they get cute and then they lose to Adelaide in week 1 of the finals and it all goes pear-shaped, but that's kind of...
Yeah. Feels unlikely at this point.
It does.
Just quickly on Melbourne though, or the top 4 race generally. So if Melbourne beat Fremantle, Brisbane beat Hawthorn, and Adelaide beat Richmond, suddenly the top 6 race tightens because Hawthorn will then only be 2 points ahead of 3 other teams, and it makes no margin for error for them.
In the final game?
No, for the final fortnight.
Oh, okay.
So this weekend,
if they lose to Brisbane.
If they lose to Brisbane, and assuming Adelaide win and say Melbourne win, then you have 58, 56, 56, 56, which means that Hawthorn are no longer the lock.
Can you imagine? I mean, I think they'll be okay, Hawthorn.
I do too.
Can you imagine if they finish like 6th or something?
Yeah, well, that happened last year. They slid to 8th.
Yeah, they slid to 8th.
Yeah, and they made a prelim anyway, so it probably doesn't matter.
Yeah, although last year they didn't have, they've been in 3rd for a long time. This is the equivalent for me of being in front for 3 quarters and then just getting run down at the end.
Yeah.
It would feel like that. Whereas last year it felt like they were constantly in that middle mix.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
But
this year feels a bit stronger. Their premiership credentials.
Jesse, we do have to get to the last game.
We
here.
do, finally.
A massive Sunday afternoon game at Marvel Stadium. Adelaide defeated the Bombers 145-73. This was in part how Adelaide got into the top four.
Yeah.
The margin of this game.
After a horrific weekend last week for the Crows, losing to Collingwood and Brisbane, winning whoever they beat, it's completely reversed.
You kind of look back on that Collingwood game now. You're like, if Adelaide had won that game,
yeah,
they would be in prime position right now. They would be in dreamland.
Yep.
They were able to win this game against the Bombers while getting two debutants into the mix here. Oscar Ryan came in, had 20 plus disposals. He kicked a beautiful running goal. Archie Ludowick even had a game, which was very surprising to me, that Ludowick, a key position forward taken in the 2025 draft, was able to get into this side when you've got, Walker, Thilthorpe, these types of players. I thought he'd probably have to wait longer.
Yeah.
But they snuck him in and he's done really, really well here.
Yep.
And it was actually, like when you think about the tools of Adelaide, 17 contested marks to 3, I think it was in this game. I had.
Well, yeah.
Big margin.
Not a big surprise, but yeah, big margin.
Yeah.
Isaac Rankin killed it. Hard to really analyse it too deeply. Thilthorpe, Rankin and Dawson dominated, which is pretty common.
Yep.
We did see some first-time goals. You said Ludowick, Oscar Ryan kicked a goal, and I think Hugo Hall-Kahan kicked his first goal too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Do you like, with Oscar Ryan in the team, did you prefer the mix? Generally, they've gone with Rory Laird as a small defender. Obviously, helps them maybe structurally, maybe defensively, but it probably makes their ball movement a little bit more rigid.
Yeah.
I sort of liked that with the more like marauding halfback flankers having Miller, Kahan and Ryan.
Yeah, that was something we highlighted this time last year, I think, looking at Adelaide's list and
punch.
a little bit more drive off half-back. They also recruited Isaac Cummings somewhat recently. Was that the year before? It was the year before. So obviously targeting speed.
He's played more wing though coming.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Oscar Ryan was a big bolter in 2023. I remember not knowing too much about him. So he's had supplies trade. Was injury part of the story? Did you say that? Or maybe I'm tripping. Either way, yeah. Again, like as far as tests go of testing a new style, probably a good week to get to do it against Essendon. We'll see how it holds up against other teams. But a big... I don't think there's too much narrative around this game. I mean, Peter Wright kicked 6, which is nice. But the biggest thing is that Adelaide then got back in... Well, they made up 140 points on Brisbane, or 150 points this weekend.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Who would have said that?
Imagine tipping that Brisbane would lose to Carlton by 78.
Yeah.
And they would beat Essendon by
72.
72. Like it's a huge margin.
23 goals, 7.
Dean Solomon was talking in the press conference after the game about their kind of, I suppose, like lack of key defenders, and because they got outmarked so badly, the key position defenders like Zach Reid was playing on different types. Like it was a tough day for them.
That's a tough matchup for Zach Reid, who's skinny as well on Thilthorpe.
Yeah, he doesn't sort of have that physicality to him.
Yeah.
I just found this interesting. So this is what Solomon said when he was asked about the key position defenders. He said, the reality is we don't have any tools we can bring into the team that are in form. There is absolutely no one we could have brought in with any confidence.
Who said this? Sorry? Solomon. Yikes. That's an indictment, isn't it?
So this was interesting, right? And then the journalist said, obviously, like, you're talking about Ben Mackay there. And then he kind of got a bit like, he went like, he gets singled out all the time. But if you say that, right?
Yeah, you're asking for that.
You're basically asking for that. Like that sounds like he's actually having a bit of a go at it.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's interesting comments. Interesting comments as well. I did say to this earlier today with James Hird. I was watching Footy Furnace, whatever he and Bartel do together this morning.
I think that's it.
And James Hird was commenting on the Richmond win, and he said something along the lines of like, wouldn't it have been better if they lost that? And I thought that was interesting for a guy who's tipped to take over as coach at Essendon next year, that he's clearly sort of not promoting tanking, but is talking about the benefits of tanking. Do you think that's interesting for a guy who potentially is a senior coach next year? Get a little insight as to what they're like when they're not in a head coaching role.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. I suppose it's also like James Hird specifically. It's also interesting because it's James Hird.
Yeah,
I don't read between the lines there, but like, I don't know. I suppose, he wouldn't kind of. He'll say that. I suppose he'll completely shift that. He'll completely change that when he becomes the coach of
absolutely, at least publicly.
Publicly, yeah. But he's still in that mode.
Yeah,
as it stands. But Essendon did get the number 1 pick this week, which we sort of
that's true
have touched on with the other clubs. I'm still saying I'm expecting that they're not going to take a Van Hatten, Essendon.
Yeah, okay.
I think they're in a different situation.
Didn't you mock him to them? Him to them?
A while back. But
Wasn't it like last week? When did we do the emergency mock?
Yeah, but that was to Richmond.
Oh, that was to Richmond, wasn't it? Okay, yeah, you're right. Sorry, it was a while back.
It was a while back. And
apologies.
Also, like Van Hatten is he's my number one ranked player.
Yeah.
Right. So like as we get closer, I think you start to mock a little bit more.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Do the things.
Crow in the crow's nest. Would like to point out Essendon were given 7 frees in front of goal, 4 of which were shocking calls. The other 3 questionable. Okay. That's from a Crows fan, but yeah, he said this is really a 100-point loss. And then Simon says Essendon were extremely young this week, comparable to an expansion side. Yeah, fair enough. I'm not heaping shit on Essendon for this result either. It's just, it is what it is, and Adelaide are a potent team.
It's just a mismatch of talent, really, with Essendon going up against a team like this. So
yeah, with plenty to play for and percentage on the line too.
Exactly. So Adelaide's run home becomes Richmond at Adelaide Oval, Freo at Optus, and then GWS at Adelaide Oval. The Freo, are you comfortable that they get Richmond and GWS easily?
No, I think GWS is going to be
banana
a
skin.
Absolutely,
isn't it? Yeah, it's a banana skin.
That's something they have to take very seriously. But it's final round of the season, and who knows what the ladder looks like. You might even get. Maybe it's a game we live stream because it's one of the last games of the year. But it might even be like you have to win by 5 goals to get top 4. You know what I mean? Like those sorts of calculations will be relevant for that game.
Rank those 3 teams in likelihood of making the 4.
I will say Brisbane.
Still at 1?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Adelaide won't
even
beat
with
Fremantle.
The Hawthorn game.
Yeah, I think Brisbane is more likely to beat Fremantle than Adelaide is likely to beat Fremantle.
Brisbane's more likely to beat Hawthorn.
I think so. It's at the Gabba.
Yep.
Of course, I'm not going to be surprised if Hawthorn upset them. Like, who knows what to think. But I think it's more likely than an Adelaide win against Fremantle.
Yep.
Both teams could lose, in which case it becomes a percentage battle. In that instance, Adelaide's got Richmond. They could put some serious distance on Richmond. They could
put some distance on
Richmond. At the
Richmond.
Adelaide Oval, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. Richmond hate going there.
So this weekend is huge.
Kate's Mormon, this is going back a little bit here. Kate's Mormon says, Coxie walked so that Gawn could run. I like that.
I like it, yeah.
I like that. I'll get out of this ruck chat a little bit.
Who would have thought we'd ever say that about Dean Cox? That he'd walk for someone else to run when he was like this generational... transcendent ruck.
But it happens, right? Because this is when there is that level of player. It's like in tennis, Roger Federer comes in, like sort of completely changes the game with the amount of domination that he had and the style and everything.
Much like West Coast against Richmond.
Much like West Coast against Richmond. But like I feel like he opened the gate for that domination of the next brigade as well. Like he was somewhat responsible because he pushed those guys forward.
It's sort of like us and Freo. Like they wouldn't be where they are now without us opening the mythical gates that don't exist.
You're like, you guys, come on.
So they can thank us.
100%. You're spot on.
Yeah.
You're spot on. A bit of Adelaide chat here about the young ones from Garitio. Oscar Ryan has got something to give. I think that's true. Electro Boy says Ludovic came in because Fogarty is suspended. Yeah, I knew there was an out that opened the door for him, but I still didn't expect that he was going to be the one that got in, to be honest.
Fog, yeah.
Ludovic.
So, yeah, but Ludovic in for Fog, right?
Yeah.
Suspension, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. I was surprised too.
Maley and Murray dropped.
Yeah, right. Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, did somebody say as well he was pretty average in the sample?
Who's
Ludovic?
that?
Like he didn't like earn
He'd had a couple of bags.
Oh, okay.
He'd had a couple of bags in the
maybe
sample.
I misread that.
Yep.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yes. I saw something. Yeah, it's... Maybe I didn't. Have you got anything else, Jesse?
I don't. I think we're done.
I think we're done.
Yeah, I'm knackered. I'll go home and edit now.
Home and edit. We've been going since about 1 to 2 o'clock, somewhere in that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Somewhere in that brigade.
Yeah, gotta have dinner. It's 8:10.
Yes.
Gotta get home.
We've been going for a little while. Guys, thank you so much for being with us today as we unravel the intricacies and what was that word we used today in the videos? The permutations.
Yeah.
Of the 2026
ramifications.
AFL seasons, ramifications, permutations. When are we back? We're back on
Saturday, Dylan.
Saturday for Fremantle versus Melbourne.
Yep.
For the live stream. Brought to you by the Ben QTK705 STI projector.
More like thank you very much.
More like thank you very much. I like that, Jesse. Thank you very much.
You're
We'll see you
welcome.
in the next one, people.
We will see you. And we got videos coming out this week too.
Yes.